Good evening, wonderful students. This is Mr. Ajiro, and today we'll be looking at ICT application and one of the topics from the IGCSE course. And it's a very important topic because we're looking at the real life applications of this particular topic in various subtopics. So the first one we'll be looking at in this video is ICT in communication. And one thing you need to understand about ICT application in communication is that there are several communication systems that makes use of this ICT technology. Okay, for example, we have the newsletters, we have flyers and posters, we have websites, we have multimedia presentations, we have media streamings, we have e-publications, and these are the things we'll be looking at in this first video. Now for newsletters, you can see here that they are used essentially by companies, okay, to communicate certain information to staff and customers, okay, and they may contain informations on recent events and identify sources companies may have experienced or have over the course of the year, okay, and they are produced very easily, okay, and these are produced using a word processor, okay. They have photos in them, okay, that can be taken by cameras or they can be downloaded from the internet, okay, and there are various ways in which newsletters can be produced. Now you need to understand that a newsletter is a very useful method for getting information, important information, to a target group of people, okay. For example, you're doing a kind of fundraising event, and a well-presented newsletter is going to accompany that fundraising, is going to be very inevitable, okay. And newsletters can be printed out or available online, and if it's available online, it can come as an e-publication, okay. And this method depends on who the target audience is, okay. When you present, when the documents are printed, right, they're personally handed to somebody, and you can be certain that they can be seen as a newsletter, okay. And they're both used to either printed or soft copy to pass on important information, and that's why you see that in the slide right here that it is seen as okay, they are seen as a paper-based communication and about people, about their interests, okay. They use these methods to inform parents about events or dates, okay. And we have advantages, okay, we have advantages about the newsletter. Now for the newsletters, the advantages could be they are released regularly, okay. The recipients can have a permanent copy, as you can see here. Disadvantages, on the other hand, could be it requires distribution, and there are no special effects or sounds or video when we're sending out these newsletters. And it's for the paper-based communication, they cost quite a lot in printing, okay. The next one is website, and when we look at website, we look at companies. They make use of this website to communicate with existing and potential new customers, okay, and they can be easily updated and can provide relevant and up-to-date information. Now with websites, you can use it to make research about what the company is all about, okay. You can communicate with them through that. They can communicate to you through that platform. Okay, and the beauty about website is rather than producing newsletters or posters by printing them, we can set up a website for advertising. And although it requires that you have a domain, okay, you have to host that website, pay for the domain service, the likes of that, but still it helps you. It can be expensive, no doubt, but the cost does not stop there. Okay, it goes on in terms of getting people to actually build the website and whatever, but it becomes much easier and cheaper for individuals or small organizations to create and host this website. Okay, and the big advantage this website have is that they offer worldwide advertising capabilities, and there is no need to buy any paper or other consumables, okay, or pay people to deliver your newsletters, flyers, okay. And that is why to me the website is better. Okay, yes, they tend to advertise goods and services which can require national and international coverage, and you just have to push it, advertise it online, your website, and people will keep coming to your website to see what you have to offer. Okay, and building a website covers from all areas: doctors, engineering, and the likes of that. Now, what are the advantages between the advantages of websites? One, we see that sounds, video, animations can be added. Links to other page and website can also be added, talking about hyperlinks, buttons to navigate or move around the website, hit counters, talking about the numbers of visitors that are coming to your website. And this actual website can be seen by global audience, and it is much easier to update a website, okay, because you don't have to actually reprint anything, or neither can you need to distribute a newer version. If it's updated, everybody sees the updated one. But why this is better, there are still some disadvantages that we need to look at. And what are the disadvantages of this available website? Is one, disadvantage is that it can be hacked, okay, and modified, or viruses even introduced. Okay, now another important disadvantage is customers will need to have a computer and internet connection if they are going to visit the website. It can result to pharming attack, okay, and we talked about pharming in class as well. Another disadvantage is that there's a need for company to maintain the website once it is set up, okay, and because it's a global system, it is more difficult to target the current audience. It's global. It means even the target audience you're looking for, you may not actually get it, because everybody's just coming in to look at your website, even those who may not have the interest of buying anything, okay. And another disadvantage is people may not actually be conversant in navigating your website, or to navigate the right places to look for what they're looking for. That can actually be a disadvantage. Now let's look at multimedia presentation. Now, for multimedia presentation, we looked at presentations that use animations, okay? Not just animations, videos, and sound, or music, okay? And it is so much interesting than the static presentations which are done on slides or paper, okay? Presentations are produced using many software applications, talking about PowerPoint, Google Slide, and the likes of that, and it is accompanied with a multimedia projector. Now, the reason why it is projected is so that a large audience, depending on the kind of audience you are looking at, can be able to see what you are presenting, okay. However, there are advantages and disadvantages to them, and we are going to look at right away. For the advantage, the use of sounds, okay, which are more likely to grab the attention of the audience. Okay, okay, it can be interactive, okay, because hyperlinks are built in, so you can put in links that brings people to other websites that you need them to go in the course of your presentation. The use of transitions effects, which allow a presentation to display facts in a key or chronological order, in alphabetical or whatever order it could be. Okay, it's more flexible, and because of the links to the websites, okay, or internal system. Why this is the advantages, we also have disadvantages. And one, you need a special equipment which can be expensive. Talking about the projector, and not just that, danger that this equipment can fail. Okay, and that means that if it fails, people cannot actually see what you're presenting, and you actually need to have internet connection. If people are going off from that, if you're going off from that presentation, okay, and yes, it's very easy to make a bad presentation with too many animation effects and the likes of that. Okay, although this is not here, we're looking at media streaming quickly. And if we talk about media streaming, we're looking at when users watch videos or listen to music on devices that are connected to the internet. Okay, and when using this media streaming, there is no actual need to actually download them or save them on your device. You're actually watching it and streaming it live on the internet. Okay, and which is actually very cool too, because you can get information without having to download anything. Then we have the e-publication that we talked about, talking about your e-books, digital magazines, digital newspapers, and your digital libraries. Okay, and yeah, and finally we'll be looking at okay, look at flyers and posters. Flyers and posters are more or less the same. Okay, it's just that one is distributed and the other, on the other hand, is pasted. Okay, so for your flyers, what we call your brochure, okay, we see them as for flyers, they are informative documents which can be distributed to promote or create awareness, okay, either of an event or upcoming event. Okay, for posters, they are larger than flyers and are strategically positioned to promote and create awareness, and they are displayed on billboards, notice board, buildings as part of advertising that. And the reason is to reach a target audience. Okay, and we have them in this slide here. Brochures are here. Yeah. Okay. Now for the brochures, they're like flyers or leaflet, and leaflet are informative document that can be they can be used to advertise a company, and they're informative. Okay, and they are folded into sections, okay, and it makes it easy to target an audience. Okay, so I've talked about flyers. For letter-headed papers or letter-headed, they are official printed documents, and they are mailed to clients for the use. Okay, especially internal. That is, letter-headed papers, letter-headed information are sent to organizations of employees of that organization, okay, or from customers, letting them know that whatever reason or whatever reasons you're working on, but it has the features of who is sending that, talking about the logo, the address, and the same thing. More or less like a business card, okay, more or less like a business card, where they are printed document that provide information about the kind of business you're into. Okay, and of course they are distributed to potential clients, as the case may be. And finally, we'll be looking at mobile phones. Okay, talking about mobile communication, and one thing you need to realize is it is we are able to communicate using towers inside cells that are networked together to cover large areas. Okay, and each tower has its own cell and the likes of that. The process it actually have to go to. Okay, so for example, if a person is making a call or sending a text to somebody in a different country, the satellite technology is used to enable the communication to take place. If it's within the same country, then there's a tower that can actually do that. Okay, and mobile devices uses a SIM, talking about subscriber identity model cards, to allow it to connect to the mobile phone cellular network. Okay, and they use wireless internet connectivity. Okay, now with what we've been said, what has been said, there are certain features for the mobile communication, and that is one, your ability to make phone calls, send SMS, like a short message service. You can actually make voice over internet protocol, that is making call over the internet. You can video call and you can have internet access as well. Okay, talking about the voice over internet protocol, we're talking about the VIOP. Okay, it's a method that is used to talk to people using the internet, and it converts your sounds, pick up your mobile device, internet, microphones, and into digital packet, as the case may be. Okay, so we have a question. So it's important that we know what this is and know the functions and the features of them. Okay, so important that we know. Okay, so we'll be ending our class here. In our next video, we'll be talking about modeling application, and it's important we talk about the modeling application. Thank you so much. Hello, wonderful students. This is Mr. Ajiro, and welcome to the second video. Okay, so today we'll be looking at modeling application, and under modeling application, it's important to note what a computer model is all about. Now, a computer model is a model which would replicate or stimulate, okay, the function of a real system. Take for instance virtual reality. It can act as a model because you can tend to do things there that tends to be real, but they are not actually real. That is what a model is all about. Okay, and that's what we talk about simulations, because simulations is the creation, okay, of a model of a real system in order to study the behavior of the system. Okay, you want to actually create a system, but you're scared, or you're very careful to see you not making mistakes. So instead of actually creating a real thing, you can create a virtual reality of it, so that you can run tests on that. Okay, and this is based on mathematical representations. Okay, now the whole idea is to try to see how the system will behave in real life, and you predict the behavior of the system in the future. Okay, how it's going to look like, and you can see the possibilities of influence it's going to have when that system is actually built. Now, what is the advantage of using these models? Okay, we'll be looking at the advantage of using this model. Okay, the first one is using computer model is less expensive than building the real thing. For example, a bridge. You don't want to build a bridge to discover that you missed something. So what you do is you get a model of what that bridge is going to look like. Now, the bridge you see in the mainland bridge, right? The Lekki Bridge and the likes of that, the Eko Bridge and the Lekki Bridge. You see that these bridges were not just built overnight, but rather there was careful development of a model of how the bridge is going to look like, to know if it's going to be strong enough to hold the capacity of cars coming in and out. See, on many occasions, it is safer to use a computer model. Okay, it's safer to use a computer model. Some real situations are hazardous. Okay, for example, chemical processes. Now you're building a chemical plant. Okay, and you want to look at the possibilities of the disaster it's going to cause. A model will actually save you a lot. Okay, now computer modeling allows you to try out various different scenarios. Okay, that is what it does. Okay, and it is nearly impossible to try out some tasks in advance in real life because of what? The height is involved or the remoteness. Talking about building something in space or in sea or nuclear reactors. Okay, and when you crash testing this, it's often faster to use a computer model than do the real thing. Okay, and a lot of work must have gone to the model for you to actually go ahead to actually put up the real thing. Now, what are the disadvantages of using models? Okay, one, a model is only as good as the programming or the data entered. That means if there are not enough data to enter into what you're going to build, you might end up not getting what you want. Okay, and it depends on these two factors. Okay, it's as good as what the programming, how you're building it, and the data you're entering into it. Okay, although building a real thing can be expensive, sometimes computer modeling is also a very costly option, and these two costs needs to be compared before deciding which one to use. Now, see, there's something to understand. To save cost and time by testing a system before you build it, that is the reason why we have to do a model. You're trying to save cost, you're trying to save time, and you want to test the system. Okay, and a bridge is a case study about it. So before you even try out a model, because both are expensive, you want to know which is more costly. What are the effects of doing, what are the negative effects if you bypass the model and actually do that. Okay, it also trains people how to use the system in a safe, controlled environment. Talking about the model now, we're diving a bit from this disadvantage, and we want to understand actually what this model is all about, because I don't want you to get confused in class when I'm explaining what it's all about. Now, I've talked about the bridge, and now I'm talking about flight simulators. Now, you want to be a pilot. The first thing you do when driving a plane is to drive a simulator of that plane. And what you're simply doing is you're building yourself about the possibility of crashing and all the rest. And you build it, you're trying to, in that virtual reality, you're actually driving the plane. And it feels so real with the atmosphere, the humidity, and everything. And there you can make a lot of mistakes and you can correct it. You don't have the possibility of making mistakes in real life. Because say for instance, a pilot who is not very strong in piloting makes a mistake, you only have one life. Okay, and that's why we use computer models. Okay, also, why do we also use computer models? We use it to investigate the capability of the system in details by interrogating and manipulating the computer model. In the computer model, we can be able to change a lot of things in the model. We can be able to make modifications to a lot of things in the model. But in real life, once it's built. It's not really easy to make changes. But in the model, you can do a lot of changes. No, I don't want it to be like this, I want it to be like this. The same thing when you build a house, a very big mansion. Use the model. When it's so expensive, use the model, and you try to see what you fit into the house. Why should we use the model? Yes, to make predictions of how the system would operate in real life. Okay, we can use a system to track your profit and loss account. Your profit and loss of a business. Should you go into that business? Okay, I felt you should know that. Okay, another disadvantage is people's reaction to the result of simulations may not be positive. They may not trust the result it produced. Okay, there's always going to be a difference between the result of modeling and the reality of it. Okay, let's look at examples where these modelings are used. They can be used in personal finance. We've talked about bridge and building designs, flood water management, traffic management, weather forecasting. And these are the ways, examples in which the computer model is being used. Let's look at in finance, personal finance. Okay, so here we have a chart talking about, this is to model the sale of a talk shop in a school. Okay, so we have items, buy, selling, profit, weekly, shop cost, numbers sold, pair, numbers of sold pair. We have the total profit item. Now, this is like a model to show you, okay, in these items you have in the shop, in the talk shop, this is the price, this is the selling price, this is the profit you make it, and this is the number of items you sell it. Now, it comes to the point that the cost may be the cost of you selling maybe 200, okay, and what you have sold so far may not be equivalent to the profit you're making. How do I mean? You can have a product and nobody's buying it, and over time it gets damaged, that can result in a loss. So we use this model to track down in a supermarket, okay, items you should buy in large quantities and in small quantities, and this gives you a model of the items you should have in your shop. Okay, all right, and we have the formulas behind them. Okay, now, so we have bridge and building designs. Let's look at it in bridge and building designs. Now, in the bridge and building design, it's important for us to know that when you want to build a bridge, okay, you will test the designs long before any construction work is started. Okay, and we have 3D modeling to help us to do that. And while we're building it in an build, we try out different scenarios. Okay, we try out different scenarios. Okay, in building. In fact, before building, I consulted. We ensure that they fit for the purpose. Okay, simulations ensure potential building could cope with the physical demands, including earthquake and storm threat. It's that important. Okay, you want to try those things. In storm, will the bridge be strong enough? In earthquake, will it be strong enough? And all these are criteria you have to look at to ensure that these criteria are properly checked. Okay, for example, when you're building a bridge, the modeler has to consider a number of scenarios. Things have to be considered when building that bridge. Number one, the amount of traffic that can be caught up in that bridge. Okay, talking about when you have traffic jam in the bridge, okay, and when a lot of cars are stopped in the bridge, can it be able to hold? Okay, the effect of strong winds, okay, can the bridge withstand the worst case scenario? And they put up all these things, in the modeling. Okay, earthquake, is it earthquake proofed? Waves coming in, flooding here and there, can it withstand? Vibrations, okay, we have had cases over the years where we've seen bridge collapse, okay, and we want to know if the wind causing the bridge to sway can be able to withstand the pressure. So it's important, okay, and that's why computer modeling provides the following features in that. Okay, it provides the following effect in that. Okay, and here you see that it is possible to zoom into the image so that the fine details can be seen. This is a case study of a model of talking about a building. This is for a building, right? We talked about the bridge. This is for the building, and the designs can be rotated in different ways to allow different views or designs to be made. Now, building a bridge or building is expensive, okay, and dangerous. If you're building a company, okay, like I said, you're building a company, you're building a big house or whatever that lots of millions is going to be used, you want to put a model to see and to test out a lot of things. Okay, now talking about the spreadsheet, talking about personal finance Of course, this is done using a spreadsheet. Okay, we use businesses use a spreadsheet to forecast profit or loss, and we use formula business to adjust certain values to see the changes over time. Okay, so it's important. The next one is the flood water management, still falling under the bridge. However, okay, cases for flood. Now we have the traffic management. So let's look at it. The traffic management. Now for the traffic management, we see that it can be used in, of course, modeling can be used in traffic management. And we look at it in closure of motorway lanes. Okay. Now we see that repairs can be made to part of the central barriers on 8 lane, like we've seen. Okay. And you need to carry out repair to model the impact of the road, whatever. Now what they do is there are two ways of controlling traffic, which is with this model. Okay. I will see the first one here, and we'll see the second model here. Okay, the company will run the first model and the second model in different densities. Okay, that it has. When you're building a motorway or you're walking a motorway, the model has to be done to see that the traffic is properly contained. Okay, and we can try this effect with different speed limits to that road construction. Okay, we can stimulate the effect of a breakdown to see how this will impact on the traffic flow by changing conditions in the stimulation as much as possible. Okay. All right. The next one is the traffic lights. Okay. Now the traffic light simulators look at the flow of traffic. Okay, and the simulator will adjust the light to best control the flow of what traffic. Is that important? Okay, check this here. Right, we have it here. So okay, so let's look at it here. Now we've looked at advantages here and what it does. Okay, it's cheaper than building physical system to test, safer than building the actual system. Okay, we've looked at it. The next one is okay. Okay, this is for school management system. Okay, so that's just what the computer modeling is here. Okay, and the next one we're looking at is we've looked at building. We've looked at the flight simulator. And we're moving forward to just to check weather forecasting. Yes, weather forecasting. The last topic we'll be looking at is the weather forecasting. Now for weather forecasting, now how does it work? Now it is set up automatically to gather data from the environment, and they're usually automatic, right? It uses a variety of sensors. We'll talk about sensors as input devices that send data to the computer. Right, and we look at rainfall, we look at the temperature, we look at the wind speed, we look at the wind direction, we look at barometric pressure, we look at humidity and the likes of that. Okay, and what that simply means that you need to gather data, right, every hour of the day, and these data can then be imputed into the model to simulate the weather patterns. Okay, to know how it's going to rain, the temperatures, and the likes of that. Okay, and that is what the model does. Okay, it helps us to, especially when you're building a large, you're making the construction of a large building on a place. You want to know the weather structure of that place. So it doesn't actually affect too much of your work. Okay, so data is imputed into the model, and prediction of the weather for the next few days is made. Is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? Now, and at the end of the weather forecast period, the model compares its weather forecast with the actual weather that has occurred. Did it actually rain or not? And they keep testing and testing and testing. Okay, and of course, what happens is no model is perfect, right? Especially when we talk about weather forecasting, you're forecasting actually. So you have to check right? You have to learn from the previous weather situations, make improvement to see how well you can predict. Your predictions are constantly made. New data is then imputed into the model, and in a weather forecast for the next few days is what made. It is powerful. This computer model is powerful because it allows us to be able to run models, and we can be able to make a lot of adjustment as much as possible. You can see the weather situation here. Here is low, jet stream, and the likes of that. Okay, so it's important that we know that. So thank you so much for tuning into this, for watching this video. We'll be looking at the next. In the next video, we'll be looking at the other part of ICT applications. So, thank you. Okay, welcome to the third video of ICT application course, and today we'll be looking at application in manufacturing industries, and this will be the third video in that. Okay, talking about computer controlled system. Now, in application in manufacturing industries, we'll be looking at robots. Yes, and I'm very sure we all know or have an idea of what robots are all about. Okay. Robots are used in manufacturing to help to improve productivity, consistency in terms of the final finish, and to reduce overall running cost. Okay, robots generally make the factory a much safer environment for workers. Okay. Now we'll be looking at how a robot used in the factory. Well, they lift heavy weights, buy heavy items, assemble parts together, paint items, spray, manufacturing microchips, and the likes of that. Okay, robots are programmed with a sequence of instructions, and the programmer will guide the robots to a step physically or by controlling the robots by remotes. In fact, they're used. When we look at robots, they're used in areas of manufacturing, from heavy work right to delicate operations. Okay, car bodies, welding body work, manufacturing of microchips, and the likes. Of that. Okay, and manufacturing of even electrical goods and stock movement and the likes of that. Control of robot is either through embedded, that is talking about the microprocessor, or limited to a computer system. And programming of robots to do a series of tasks is generally done in two ways. Okay, so it's important that we know that how we program the robots to do a series of tasks is done in two ways. Okay, the robot is programmed with a sequence of instructions, okay, which allow you to carry out the series of tasks that programmed with. Alternatively, a human operator manually carries out the series of tasks. This can be done in two ways. So the robot arm is guided by the worker, where spraying the objects, and each movement of the arm is controlled by the instruction of the computer, or the worker wraps sensors to his own arm and spray the object, and each movement is stored in a set of instructions in a computer. So these are the various ways in which that can be done. So what are the advantages of in using robots? They can work in an environment that's harmful to human operators, because they are not humans, they are machines, so they can adapt to any environment. They can work non-stop. They are less expensive in the long term, although it's expensive to buy initially. Okay, you don't need to pay them wages. They have higher productivity. There's no need of holidays, likes of that. They produce or provide greater consistency. Okay, and they can do boring and repetitive tasks, leaving humans free to do other more skilled work. Okay, they carry out different tasks by lifting them with different end attachments. For example, a spray gun, a wedding gun, and wedding gun, and so on. Just heavy metals, they help in that. Okay, and now we see here that exact sequence of movement is stored in the memory. When these robots are programmed with a sequence of instructions, this exact sequence of movement is stored in memory, and the robot is not able to carry out the same sequence of instructions over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, and that's just what we're talking about. Okay, let's look at the disadvantages. Okay, and here you see that productivity is higher since they don't need holidays. We've talked about that. There's greater consistency, and they can do boring and repetitive tasks. We've talked about that. Now for disadvantages, now robots find it difficult. They find it difficult to do unusual tasks. For example, one of glassware for a chemical company. So they find it difficult to do unusual tasks. When they're not being programmed to do that task, it's not going to be easy for them to do because they don't know what they're doing. Okay, they can cause higher unemployment. That is replacing skilled laborers. Okay, and because robots can do many of the tasks once done by human, there's a real risk of certain skills such as weeding being lost and the likes of that. Robots are independent of the skill base. Factories can be moved anywhere in the world. Again, causing unemployment. Of course, initial setup and maintenance can be very expensive. Okay, that is which is not very easy because the initial setup and maintenance of this can be very expensive. We'll be looking at this. One last part before we close this video. Production line control. Now, production line control using robots in producing, in making production. They are used in industries. Okay, for example, filling bottles with a liquid, capping the bottles, applying a label. All this can be done by a robot because they can be programmed to just do this. Okay, filling metal cans with baked beans. Okay, sealing the can and applying labels can also be done with robots. Don't know what to talk about the production line control. Now, production line control can be somewhat continuous with various robots at each station giving a specific task. Okay, now using these robots in this way leads to faster operations. The numbers of cans of baked beans can be filled in 120 per minute because it's just fast. It's doing it, it's very fast. It's doing it, and there's much greater productivity, right? The production can run 24 hours a day for every day. Okay, there's greater consistency. That is every can. Talking about production of baked beans in cans. Exactly the same weight of baked beans. Okay, so we're using baked beans as a case study. Okay, beauty quality control, that's automatic testing for foreign materials such as metal filling, which result in automatic rejection from the production line. Reduce cost to the consumer, to the reduce cost to the consumer. Of course, initial robot arms are expensive, but over time we see that this becomes easier. Now let's take a final spin. Let's look at a closer view of how robots could be used in the bottling plant. Okay, the sensor one, that's the pressure sensor, the light sensors of the camera detect the presence of the bottle. The sensor is currently sending back to the computer. When the sensors from the sensor one indicate a bottle is present, okay, the computer sends a signal to the actuator, and these actuators are your output, okay, which opens a valve allowing liquid to flow in to the bottle. The sensor 2, which is a level sensor, is used to detect the current liquid height in the bottle. Okay, these sensors will send continuous signals back to the computer. Now, if you see this diagram, you see that this is what I'm talking about. So, this is going, when it gets to this point, the sensor 2, which is the verb, plugs this in, okay, and fills it, and this moves. It comes like that, it comes like that. That's just what we simply mean. So this is a pressure and light sensor, and what it detects that there's a bottle, right? It says to the computer, and that it detects that the bottle is present. Now this sensor 2, which is a level sensor, right, is used to detect the current liquid height in the bottle. So that's what we are talking about, okay? And it says corrector back, so it puts it and gives exactly that number of liquid in that bottle, okay? So when the signal from the sensor indicate the bottle is full, the computer sends a signal to the actuator to close the valve. That's how it works. So from the signal from the sensor 2, when the bottle is filled up, the computer will now send a signal to the actuator, which is the output, to say, okay, you know what, close. The computer then sends that signal to the second actuator, which operates a motor to move the belt to allow the next empty bottles to take their correct position, and the whole process is continuous until it stops. All of the other bottles are filled up, and of course, or there's an error or whatever, or maintenance, as the case may be. Okay, so thank you so much for staying with me. Thank you for this video, and see you in the next video. Okay. Hey guys, this is Mr. Ajiro, and I welcome you to the number 4 of the video slide, ICT application. And this time around, we'll be looking at the school management system. We've looked at quite a lot. Also, we began from the first video, the second video, and the third video. The first one we started with communication. So if you've not watched or listened to the first video, I highly recommend you do that before even stepping into the number 4 of this video. So go to the first one, go to the second one, go to the third one, and before stepping into the fourth one. Okay, so we're looking at the school management system. Yes, and trust me, this is what everybody can. If you're a student, well, of course, definitely you're a student, right? This is what everyone of you can relate to, because on the other hand, I'm a teacher and I'm in the school, right? And we're looking at how the school uses this ICT to manage their affairs. Right? How does it help the school to be able to manage your systems or manage your work effectively? And in the school we are in, you realize that most of the things we do are ICT inclined. In fact, majority of the work are more of ICT applications than manual applications. Okay, so it then means that we are making use of these ICT tools and we are applying them in our school, and you see that all around, right? So school have to manage a number of different tasks, right, in their day-to-day runnings. Okay, and these tasks include, we'll be looking at them, they include registration, okay, and attendance records of students. We want to keep the registrations of students that are coming into the school, the attendance records of students who have been in school and those who are absent. Okay, we want to look at the student performances. We want to look at the chart of how well they're performing and how well they're not performing, and that gives us an idea to give accolades to students who are helping, students who are performing in high standards. You know, we use all these data that we have gotten to be able to appraise our students who are performing exceptionally well. In fact, the beauty of ICT is that you don't even need to know, you don't have to do like notice me, you know, like okay, I want them to know. No, your performances is actually going to put you at the top, because by the time we take the analysis of it, we begin to realize that they are exceptional students. They are students who I never knew were that intelligent. Like they were so wonderful, like, you know, that who, and also with their scores and with their performances, I was okay, so this student is really good, you know, like, and I'm impressed, you know. So yes, and that is what ICT can do for you. And of course, another important thing we should know is the computer aided learning, and that helps students to be able to learn with the aid of visual aids, like we do with slide presentations, and we play videos in likes of that. We carry out tutorials, and so that you can actually see in practice what we have been doing. Okay, and so computers are used in libraries also to keep track of which books have been borrowed, right, by which member. So if we're running an e-library, we have them in the database, and we can be able to tell just by running a scan on which of the books have been borrowed by the student. Of course, there are cameras, of course, in the library, and we can obviously the librarian cannot make mistake, because the camera is going to see that you actually borrowed the book. So database software is physically used to store details of the books and the members. Okay, so on one hand, we'll be looking at libraries, ICT application in libraries, and we'll be going over to the things I said before. So let's still stick with the library, right? Now, issuing of books. Now, for issuing of books, how do we use ICT to issue books, right? So books and members can be identified by a unique barcode. So for each of the books, they have a barcode, just like when you go to a supermarket. Okay, you go to a supermarket to buy a product, right? To buy an item, they just the attendant takes the barcode, takes the item rather, and puts it on the bar scanner, and it tells you the name of the item and the price. And she just does, he or she just does it, scans and tells you it's 550, or tells you the total, everything is 2,000. This is, because they don't have the prices offhand, all the prices. So the barcode gives them a clue of which how the prices range, or if they have changed. Okay, so the same thing with the library. Okay, so each of the books, there is a barcode on them, and when they scan it, it can be able to tell you the name of the book, author of the book, and then you can now put who is borrowing the book. Okay, and in fact, the way the database is constructed, you don't have to type the name of the student. All you have to simply do is go to the class, year 10, for example, and it brings out, okay, is it 10A, is it 10B, is it 10C, is it 10D? Okay, and if you're going to let's say 10A, right? You bring out the names of the student. You want to go to maybe Nicole or something, maybe, well, it brings out, okay, the name of the student. So you don't actually need to type in the name, because all the names are there, and if there are names that or new students coming in, is automatically updated. So the librarian doesn't need to actually put in the name of the student, except in rare cases. Okay, so yeah, and it can be scanned directly by the barcode scanner. Okay, so when a book is taken out, the barcode is scanned as well as the barcode on the member's card. So see, this how it's done. Okay, they scan the barcode, and your ID card has a barcode. So it goes in two ways, right? There are some schools that they don't really need to just type your name or search your name, just your barcode. It brings out the picture. In fact, it brings out the total ID card of the person virtually on the system, so you can say, okay, this book was borrowed by this person, and there's a picture attached to it, because somebody can easily deny, it's not me, it's not me, I didn't take it, or you didn't take it, but your picture is there. So and the cameras cannot lie, obviously. So that is just what it is. So when the book is taken out, the barcode is scanned as well, and of course the barcode on the member's card. Okay, the due date is worked out by the date the book was issued. So, and the system automatically issues a due date, just the same way we have a due date assignment. So I can say, okay, this book you're borrowing is a 1 week book. The book is heavy for 1 week. So after 7 days interval, you're due to return the book. So if you don't return the book, well, there's extra charges, and it occurs in your expenses. So these are just what it is. Okay. Then we'll be looking at now, what are the advantages of having this wonderful tool? Okay, number one, data from the books and the members are entered quickly and more accurately compared to the manual method. So you don't make mistakes, right? You don't make mistakes because you have all this as well. Okay, let's look at automatic processing. Yes, automatic processing. You're wondering, what's so automatic about the processing? Yeah, let's look at it. All right. The library database is checked on a daily basis to check which books are due. Okay, so that's what the librarian does. It checks the database to see which of the books are due and quickly informs you about, sends a message directly to you that the book is due in 2 days or whatever. Yeah, and the librarian can quickly check if a book is available to be borrowed or could provide specific dates to members when the book will be returned. Okay, automatic emails could be sent to the members to remind them of the due date. Like I said, emails are being sent out, okay, to remind you that it's due. The book you borrowed, Christine, is due. So return the book to the library. Okay, yeah. So members would be able to extend the lease period on the book board online. So that's one of the advantages you have. So you could send a message and say, please ma, I'm still reading it, please give me just 2 days extra and I promise I'm gonna, something like that. Depending on the manager of the book, maybe the book wants to be read by someone else or whatever, that there's also an advantage for you to actually communicate without having to go through to the library to actually do that. That's what automatic process is all about. So it's easier to actually process in respect to issuing of computers in the library. Because what we are talking about right now is computers in the library. How effective are computers in the library under the school management system? We are looking at each of the departments. Okay, yes. Yes. The next one we'll be looking at still in the school management system is we looked at registration. Okay, so let's look at now the school management system are now used in schools by staff to complete a number of tasks on a daily basis. We use it. Staff use it to upload your scores. They use it to give assignment, mark your assignment, put up materials for you to read, videos for you to read, like the things I'm doing right now, we use that. Okay, the school uses to keep records, send bulletins to your parents, informing them, or newsletters informing them about the activities which we have covered in communication. Right, so please go back to the first video and just take a crack, just a spin at it. Trust me, you're gonna love it. Okay, so we'll look at the learners registration and attendance, okay, which is what we're going to do right now. Now let's look at, before we go into the modern way, let's look at the traditional way. The traditional way to record the registration and attendance with students was to complete daily registers. In fact, some schools still do that till now. Trust me, Nigerian schools, they do that. I've been in schools that's what they do. The class teachers will come with this, very strenuous killing registers and start calling names of students. Number 1, present sir. Number 2, present sir. Number 3, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's maddening to think about it, right? And this was very time consuming. Nigerian schools, the Nigerian curriculum and the Nigerian system, they still use this system. They feel is the best way in this 21st century. I don't want to think about it. Oh my god, it's now crazy thinking about it, right? Okay, and this was very time consuming because it requires a 10-minute sections at the beginning and end of each day. Okay, it was also prone to error, like if a student day was missed at some point during the registration process. Okay, there are numbers of possible ways of automating the registration process using hardware and software, some of which we're going to look at below. Okay, so the first method is issue each student with a unique ID card. That's the identification card. So that is why each student in our school have an ID card. Okay, this contains a magnetic stripe, okay, on the rear of the card, and the student could have to sign the card, also write their unique student ID in the back of the card. Okay, and the magnetic stripe would contain the name of the school, the name of the student data of birth, and their unique registration number. Okay, each morning the student will arrive at school, they will swipe their ID card through a magnetic card reader. That's what they do now. I've seen some schools, although we have not started implementing that here, but there are schools right here on the island that still do that. Okay, I've been in schools that actually do that. In fact, that is one way to actually curtail to know students who are in school instead of just writing, because it's funny, students can even write somebody's another student's name. You know, teachers, they do it, right? There's the card, we have the ID card given to us, and we swipe in. Okay, we swipe in with the card reader, and it reads us that we are actually in school. If we are going out for permission, whatever, we swipe out and give reasons to why we are going out and stuff like that. So you can be sure that this is also one of the work in progress that we'll be doing as we move into our permanent site. Okay, we don't just bring everything in, and because this is not our permanent site, and so we just want to just do what we have now. We'll move to our permanent site. We can have more permanent structures of the things we are going to bring in. Okay, so that's what happens, and the data will read to identify the student, the time the student entered the school premises, and this data will now be stored in a database. If the student is leaving the school, right, the student will need to again swipe to record the leaving time and a date on the database. That's what it does. Okay, there are other functions too on it, as the case may be, the use of PIN to stop another student swiping in with the wrong card. Okay, so for example, how is that done? For example, another student cannot just swipe in with another student's card, because each student is being given a PIN that they have to memorize. So when you swipe in, you put your PIN. Okay, it's just like your what you use for your talk shop. You'll use your card, so every card has a PIN, and I want to believe the PIN is only known to you and your family. For those who like doing Father Christmas and Mama Christmas, they like giving their friends their PIN. Well done, oh, I see you, they love being with you. When your money will finish, don't start crying, no. Alright, okay, just messing with you there. So there's a PIN given, right? And that PIN, you have to put in that PIN. So once you swipe the card, the same thing you do in your talk shop. You put your card and you put your PIN, right? So when they swipe it, they put the PIN and it records the name. This helps you students from taking someone else's card. Probably they lost their own card and they can go out, right? Of course, the security is there to confirm that the identity of that person and the person that is swiping the card are in sync. Okay, the next one is the use of GPS tracking, right? So the exact whereabouts of the student will be known. This will require the addition of a chip in the card. So some schools in the UK and even in the US, they do that, right? There is a chip on the card. So for example, there's any issue, maybe the parent is calling, I cannot find my child, oh, where the hell is my child? I can't see my child. I'm looking for my... Okay, see, madam, calm down. We have this under control, and they can quickly go to the system with the help of the ID card to trace where the child is currently is, right? I'm not saying that I'm not saying anything whether we have the chip or not. For those who like cutting corners, I'm not saying anything. You might not know that we have a chip on the card, but I'm not saying anything. Okay. Okay, before the people start looking at the card. Alright. Okay. Yeah, so the example of the student will be known, and this will require additional of a chip in the card. Okay, so that tracking system could identify them. Okay. Yeah, we did that the RFID, yeah, the face recognition, we did that. Okay. In the previous one, so you might actually want to check the slides for that. Okay. The second method, that's the first one. The first method is registration and attendance can be done with ID card. Second method, use of biometrics. Okay. Now for biometrics, each student will have their fingerprint recorded. Each fingerprint is unique. Okay. And trust me, the second method is far more secure because you cannot steal someone else's fingerprint. If I don't want to believe, I don't want to think someone will have to call somebody now. Come on. You're not a sociopath. You're not a criminal, right? So it's more actually secure. Someone else can misplace their ID card, and you might be tempted to use it to swipe in to go out, or to use it to do dubious things. But you cannot use somebody cannot mistakenly forget his thumb. You forget your thumb. How do you do that? Okay, so their fingerprints are recorded. and their personal details plus their fingerprints will be stored in database. So when a student enters the school, they'll be asked to put their hand on the scanner or their thumb, which would read the fingerprint, because each student has unique fingerprint. Okay, this system would, of course, will be very secured, right? As with method 1, the date and time of entering and leaving the school accurately be recorded on the database. Now, what is the advantages of the method of these biometrics compared to the magnetic ID card? Let's look at the advantages, okay, shall we? Okay, so we have fingerprints are unique, so it will be impossible, okay, for a student to sign in pretending to be someone else. Okay, of course, with ID card, a student can even give another student to use it to do something else, okay, to sign in for them, pretending that they're in school. Yes, I've seen cases in the US and even in, yes, one time in the UK where students are funny enough to dodge school because they want to go have a party, and they give another student their ID card. So the student comes in and signs for them. So according to the system, they are in school. Meanwhile, they are out there having a party. But in the biometrics, trust me, there's no way to do. There's no way. I think we won't begin in the biometrics, because there's no way you can actually deceive anybody that you're in school. Meanwhile, you're not in school, because nobody is going to take care. How do you want to give somebody your fingerprints? And don't start thinking something shady right now, because some people have started thinking something shady. Like, okay, stop. Whatever you're thinking, stop. Don't go there, right? So it's very, very secure. Okay, it's very, very secure. All right, and ID card will easily be lost. So that's another advantage about the biometrics. You can't actually lose your fingerprint or lose your thumb or your hand. Okay, because they are part of you and they cannot be lost. So ID card will be affected by magnetic fields. They can be affected because if you don't put them well, they get scratched or whatever. So that can be affected, okay, which can stop them working properly, right? More or less, they can be affected with the magnetic field. If your phone is closed, that can prevent it from working properly, okay, very well. The next one, it is much easier to clone. Yes, the hackers in the house, they can clone an ID card and pretend to be that student, okay. So yeah, okay. So it will be easy to, but it will not be easy to copy fingerprints. Okay, it's near impossible. Okay, it's not impossible, but it's near impossible. Okay. Disadvantages. Disadvantages. Let's look at. It will take a long time to collect the fingerprints for every student in the school. It's going to take, especially when the school is very large school with a lot of population, okay? And of course, the equipment that is needed to take and read the fingerprint is more expensive than the magnetic stripe reading equipment. So that's also disadvantage. If the student cut a finger, the fingerprint may not be affected, may not be identified by the system. How do I mean? Now, this is what I mean. And forgive me, this video is going to be a bit long, but it's helpful because we need to talk about a lot of things. Now, let's say, for example, you had a cut on your finger, and that is the finger that has been recorded by the school. It then means that the system will not be able to identify you properly, and that's a problem, right? That is a problem. Okay, so that is that. Okay, which will prevent you from entering the school. Although there's a way to navigate about it, but that's fine. But that's the disadvantage, right? There are invasions of privacy issues. And a number of students and parents may object to having fingerprints stored or in database. So privacy issue. Some parents may not even subject themselves to this. They may even be saying, I cannot. Oh boy. Okay, so there might be certain issues concerning to that. Okay, so that's for that. Okay, talking about the learners registration and attendance. Okay, and in some, what we are simply saying is, one, teacher will be able to click on a particular class and complete the register. Two, once this is saved, then other users of the management system can see who has been registered for that particular period. 3, this is useful as it allows teachers to see who should be attending their lessons. Okay, this is for university wise. Okay, okay, I think I can add a last one. Data of attendance can then be easily analyzed. Okay, we have the exam timetable also as part of this. Exam timetable can be produced using the management system, and teachers who are not teaching can be easily allocated to invigilating exams. Okay, creating timetables or covers. Timetable can be produced using management software. We have the management system we use in producing our timetable. Okay, and they are generally quicker to create and less prone to errors compared to paper-based system. Trust me, there are schools that use paper-based to prepare timetable, and there's a lot of errors in between. Okay, and timetables can be produced, can also be produced to cover classes when teachers are absent or lessons needs to be covered. Okay, so let's look at student performance. Quickly, student performance. Now, teachers could make considerable use. We use spreadsheets to monitor the performance of our students. Okay, especially spreadsheet can record the test result of each student over a term, and this will allow the teacher to easily see how they are performing against other students in the same subject. So we have a way we can do what we call conditional formatting, that we can actually see students who are performing better and students who are performing lower. So it will easily be easy to import that into a report. Okay, for example, summarizing a student performance over an academic year. Okay, school management systems are used to record the performance of students. That performance can also include academic achievement and behavior as well. Okay, to produce an end of term year report that assess the following data. So let's look at it, and we have the student exam test results in all subjects studied over the term, behavioral data, and CAT scores. Okay, CAT scores as well. Okay, so that's for that. Okay, we can also use it to see the average grades for all students in a class. Okay, that's for that. Okay, that's for that. Yes, so that's just what is simply we're just talking about right here, the sum total of all we've been saying in the school management system. All in summary of this, talking about the ID card with magnetic tips. We've talked about the biometrics, advantages, disadvantages of all of them. We have been talking about the learner's performance, talking about teachers are able to log on to student data, grades into a school management system. This data is then available to anyone other than members of staff. Your parents can actually see your grades, right? The data can be analyzed and reports can be produced. Okay, reports can be produced as well. So yes, organizing examination, ensuring that students are enrolled for the right exam timetable are printed, examination rooms, invigilators, you gathering the results and putting them into creating timetables that we've talked about. We've talked about the advantages. Yes, students who are absent can be addressed easily. Operating system may need some training. People need to understand how this works in the school management system. We have SIS, for example. Parents are kept up to date on any issues about their students, their children, their works in the school. Of course, the initial cost of this software is quite expensive, as the case may be. And there's one last thing we'll be talking about before I run off your air. Okay, run off of your air. So we're talking about the computer aided learning. Okay, it's currently not here in this slide. So it's right here, right? Computer aided learning, right? Now it said it's the use of the computer based system to assist in the academic teaching of students. Okay, we use computer to aid us in teaching you guys. Okay, and they are designed to enhance, not replace the traditional classroom teaching, no, but to give you guys a more clear pictorial view of what we are saying. Okay, students use the computer as part of their learning to complete online tests, to monitor their performances. We give you an assignment to the classroom, you answer the assignment, I will return back the scores to you. and you see we do corrections, and then you can see where you've got it all wrong. Okay, for the purpose of this, our assignments is going to be done using Google Docs. Okay, you don't just do your assignment on the classroom, just type in and submit. You're going to use either a Google Docs or your MS Word to do, or preferably Google Docs. Since you're already connected online, you can use the Google Docs in doing your assignment, because you can be adding tables, you can be adding this and that. So that's what of course I'm going to send a message on the Google Classroom in respect to that. So Google Docs will be used as a means of answering your providing answers to your questions during the term, right, as the term goes up. In fact, it will be done in such a way that the questions will be on your Google Docs and they'll be sent separately to you, and then you can work on it there. Okay, so if a student encounters a problem, Carl is not always able to help the student, right? And in those cases, student will need to take further steps for additional help in meeting the teacher. Okay, let's look at the advantages, right? The first one here is student can learn when they want and at their own pace, like what we are doing here, right? You can learn at your own pace. It allows virtual reality learning to be used. What does that simply mean? This simply means that the student is fully immersed into the learning environment. Okay, there's videos, you can engage upon it, just to give you more information about what we are talking about. Student can stop at any point and will return later to continue where they left off. And that's the beauty about using the computer aided learning, because this is what we are doing right here, and it simply helps you to put a pause, go and rest, come back and continue again. Okay, it is possible to retake tests until the student reaches the required skill level, so we can give practice tests. Okay, over time we'll be doing that, giving you practice tests, and it will be answered automatically. It's just for you to get to that level that we want you to get. Okay, Carl can make learning more interactive. Okay, Carl makes use of various multimedia, for example, short video clips, animation, music, interactive learning methods. So let's look at disadvantage quickly. And multiple choice questions, that's Carl. We talked about that. Use of multiple choice questions can be marked immediately by the computer system, giving you instantaneous feedback. That is, we do that, right? We'll give you objective questions, you answer, then you see where you actually where you've got it all wrong. Okay, the next disadvantages right here, and then I'll be running from your ears, but okay, I've exceeded my time. I'm sorry about that. The computer-aided learning cannot give students the experience of handling laboratory equipment. There are some videos that talk about for the chemistry students, yes, let's not talk about chemistry, let's talk about ICT, right? ICT. During our practical, you can watch videos of so many people, myself, Mr. Richard, Yamad, and the likes of them, doing practicals of these things and saying on the platform, right? But if you don't practice and you don't put your own effort to it, you can actually have the experience about it. It's like watching the titration process in chemistry and you don't actually do the titration yourself. Yes, so there are some things that you'll be required to do yourself. Okay, and it's expensive and time consuming to integrate the computer aided learning properly into the learning environment. Students can easily be distracted with why online, for example, going on social media site, visiting website, or even playing online games. Right, it happens when we send you a video. Thank God you can actually watch the video in the classroom, so you don't actually have to go on YouTube to actually get it done. So you can actually be there, watch it, and you don't have to get distracted or even playing online games. Okay, it can lead to isolations of a student because they are spending their time in their own in front of a computer screen, and this needs to be carefully managed. Yes, isolation, especially the online students, having classes online, doing all those things, it can bring a form of isolation, and we have to be factual about. And these are real disadvantages. Okay, and Carl cannot answer unusual questions. Okay, and the student will need to seek out guidance from a teacher. In other words, Carl is not a self-contained learning system. It means that there are certain questions that you ask, right? The system, and it may not give you. You actually need a comfort of a teacher to actually explain it to you in your own understanding. So thank you so much for tuning in, for listening to this wonderful first video. The next one is booking system. Okay, so you just want to reach out yourself with us. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video. Okay. So we want to talk about how the booking system works. Yes. Now you can see that at the end of this course. And by the way, this is the 5th video, and we're just getting started. Yes. So we're looking at the online booking. Okay. So now the online bookings use real-time processing, right? It uses the real-time processing, which allow users to make and confirm booking instantly. So that means that if you're booking for a seat at a concert, if a next person is trying to book for that seat, the first person who books for the seat, automatically that seat becomes closed. You don't have access to book for the seat, even though you are paying instantly. The first one that goes, your transaction doesn't go through and tells you that this seat has been taken. So once payment has been received and booking confirmed, the booking cannot be double booked. This simply means that it relies on the ability to update files immediately, right? And thus preventing double booking. Like we've said, this could happen if the system response time was slow. So take for instance, I'm booking to be on the VIP, and there's just one slot left, right? And everybody just want to book for that VIP, and me and my parents, and everybody wants to book for that VIP. And the first thing, at the moment I book for it, she's the parents obviously will be unable to get that slot for it. So that means they will have to try out another one. That's just how it works, right? If I'm booking for this particular seat, or booking for this seat in the concert, if I book for it, right? If I book for it and I get it, that means even though you're booking for it, as long as my payment has been confirmed and I've been allotted that seat, yours will be rejected, giving you another seat. Okay. So online booking are used in the travel industry for those who want to travel out. The concert, talking about, it could be not just music, but it could be acting, theater, right? Cinema tickets. You have to get tickets. Either you get it physically, or you can book for it online, and when you get there, you'll be given the ticket. When booking sporting events, okay, football tickets, or for you to go to the stadium, you have to get your ticket. You don't just barge into the stadium. I'm going to watch Man City, I'm a Man City fan. They will throw you off the stadium. Hello, they will throw you off. Man City, they will throw you off. Yeah, a Chelsea fan, you just say, oh, I've been a Chelsea fan since I was small. They will throw you off. Where's your ticket? They will ask, where is your ticket? Where is your ticket? Oh. So before we start looking at specific examples, it is worth considering some of the advantages and disadvantages of using the online ticket. So we have it apartments, we have it stadiums, in fact buses, trains, and the like of that. You have to get your ticket for it. So let's look at the advantages quickly. Let's look at the advantages for that. So let's look at the advantages for that. So the first one is they prevent double booking. We've talked about that. The customer gets immediate feedback on the availability of seats. Okay, talking about that is elevation nights. The elevation night is coming this fall. November we're going for elevation nights. Elevation church. Yeah, the Pastor Stephen is going to be there. It's going to be awesome, right? They'll be touring all through the US, North Carolina, Texas, Los Angeles, the New York. They will be in Ohio. So if you're traveling for the vacation, maybe somewhere November, December, you just want to look out for those cities that I've just mentioned, or you can go to television night to see, and then you can look at the available ones available there. If the city you're traveling into and it falls within that city, they'll come in, so you can get your ticket and have a wonderful worship experience with God. Okay, so I'm back to teaching mode. Okay, so the customer gets immediate feedback on the availability of seats and whether or not their booking has been successful. Okay, customers can make booking at any time of the day. Okay, customer emails allow the booking companies to connect special offers to their emails and inform them of such offers automatically. Okay, it's usually easier, right, to browse the seating plans, okay, especially on flights, to choose the best seat available at the price. Okay, so people like booking early so that when it's actual time, they don't have to spend get an overprice. So if I'm traveling to the US somewhere November, I would like to book my ticket somewhere May, okay, or maybe April, so that I pay a lesser fee, so that when it's actual time, the ticket, that seat is still reserved for me. Okay, it is possible to reserve a seat for a period of time, which I've talked about. Okay, this allows the customer to make up their mind before finalizing the booking, so you can reserve and then you pay for it. Okay, and of course it's difficult to do with the old paper-based method. Is there anything left that I've not talked about? Yes, a confirmation message, special offers. Yes, I've covered everything I want to cover about. What about here? Is there anything? This is for theater booking system. Like I said, they're used for transport, flight, trains, buses, cinemas, and theaters. Customer clicks on performance they wish to see. That's for theater. There's a lot of theater, so you can tick for the one you want to see and get your ticket for it. You can enter it at time of the performance and require number of seats. Seating displayed at theater is then shown. Database search to check availability. With all this, we have covered. All this we've covered in a nutshell. Okay, we've covered in a nutshell. So yep, we have covered in a nutshell. So let's go back to that. Okay, so let's look at so we've seen yeah. So the next one is of course very often they're not printed tickets. Okay, this saves postal costs and also allow impulse booking only a few hours in advance. Okay, there's no like printed tickets, so it's been sent to your mail and there's a unique ID they can actually check for it, so you're not like showing them this is my ticket. Okay, so online booking allows the use of modern smartphones and tablet app technology. So the customer is sent a QR code which contains all the booking information necessary, and this QR code is stored on the smartphone or tablet. Only needs to be scanned, for example, at their arrival. So you have this the QR code they send to you. So you put it, they send it to you on your phone, so you can scan it and it shows your information, your name, your picture, and then you get entry, right? So it makes it's even easier, and than just anybody can just just get a ticket. Okay. For the next one is disadvantages. Setting up and maintenance of online booking system is expensive. Yes, the customer usually need access to computers or mobile phones and a reliable internet connection, because remember, this is real-time processing, which is like online processing. Okay, it is often more difficult to cancel the booking and get your money back using online system. It's difficult. In the physical, you can go there and demand for your money. Benny, my money. I'm just messing around. It's booking system. I'm messing around, right? So if the server is down for maintenance, or if the system breaks down, it becomes impossible to book a seat by any method. So if the server is down, yes, you might be having some difficulties. You have to wait for the system to come back up. Okay, which is not so in the physical. If someone is down, sickness, another person will take over. Okay, so if the websites are not well designed, it can be difficult to make exactly the booking you want, or you can lead to make mistakes. Okay, this particularly issue, the flight booking, you're booking to go to Dubai. Okay, sorry, we have been banned from Dubai, so okay, sorry to let you guys know, those who are making preparation, I want to go to Dubai, you have been banned. Nigeria have been banned from Dubai. Bye bye. So choose another route. Okay, you can go to Mumbai in India. You can go to India. You can go to where can you go to? Saudi Arabia. Wow, it's so cool the time of the day. Nigeria never go to World Cup, so there's no excuse for Nigerians to be there at the World Cup. So I don't know how they will do it, Sha. I don't know how they will do it. Okay, or you can go to, you know what? You can even go to Ghana or Rwanda, Uganda, Namibia, Liberia. These are very, very cool foreign countries that you guys can actually go for in December. I'm seeing people shouting, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. All right, I understand. Okay. Okay, it can be difficult to make exactly the booking you want, and of course it can lead to mistakes. Okay. Booking online does not allow you to build a personal relationship with the travel agent. So you don't have to build any form of relationship. Just book your listing and you go. Okay. Who might offer free upgrades or special offers which may not be available for the online booking. For the physical, they can give you special discounts. Madam, I've been coming here now. Just do something for me. Online, it's not like that. You pay what you see. All right. Okay. So that's just what it is for the disadvantages. Then we have for the booking system. Talking about the channel it goes through, let's look at the channel it goes through. Users will select the requirements of the bookings. Okay, we'll select the requirements of the booking, that is the date of the flight, the airport, the location. Processing talks about it involves checking if the systems are possible. Okay, if the tickets are available or whatever. The output talks about the booking confirmation, either rejection or alternatives or payment. Okay, this seat is taken. These are the ones that are actually available. Now let's look at travel industries. We'll take a look at the travel industry. So I'm just putting everything together, but now I'm just splitting in between. So let's look at travel for those who like traveling, right? I like traveling to so many states. Okay, so I understand. As an example, let's consider the flight online. We've talked about the booking. Let's look at the flight online. Okay, it's similar to the one you see something like this. For the those who like booking their tickets. Okay, so the user only need to fill in the appropriate fields. Okay, the system automatically search for the available flights, make bookings, and transfer the funds from their bank account. Okay, unless something goes wrong, they will be need to talk to a human operator at any stage in time. So you can choose. Are you going with your children, infant? All this will calculate the numbers of prices, the department, when you're returning, and you know that the flight will be could be one way, multi stops. It will let you know how you can go about that. Okay, event shows a concert, theater, and cinema. Now I want to explain this. This is what I want to explain. Okay, I've had some experience being on shows. Yes, on shows, so I need to explain what this simply means. Okay, now the events such as concerts, theaters, and cinemas. Okay, we will now consider the online booking system when trying to book a concert, a theater, or a cinema performance, because all three examples involves booking seats. Inside the booking fitted with seats, we will use the same booking system for all three, with the example chosen as we have assumed that the customer has already logged on to the event booking website. Okay, this is how it is. Now watch this. Now you see this on red. You see this on red right here. Now the seat displayed at the venue is shown on the screen. Okay, the user selects their seat by highlighting the actual seats on the screen displayed, and then confirms to go to the next part of the process. Now watch this. Now this red part talks about this could be the stage. Are you with me? So this is the stage now, and this stage now this is the store. Now this is the stage. Sorry, please check it to confirm the signature. This is the stage. Now this is where you cannot book. This could be where the camera is, or maybe lobby or whatever. So this is out from it. Now this is the stage. Now this could be a stage, or sometimes the stage could actually be on the middle, depending. So this is the stage, and this is, of course, you can't book this one now. Kinochele, are you Mrs. Bookies? Okay, right? So now this shows you the numbers of seats available. Okay, and you can, this for the A row. Now notice that the more closer you are to the stage, the more expensive the prices are. So you want to be careful. So now for A, you can see that you have 17 numbers of seats. For B, you have 16 numbers of seats. Now this means that these could be for securities, okay? And for F, you have just 7 numbers of seats here at the left wing, and at the right wing you have another set of seats. Now all this shows that this seats one, this other one are actually probably taken, and the likes of that, okay? And most of the time it is grayed out. Are you with me? Most of the time it is actually what? Grayed out. Now we have the dress circle, right? We have the upper circle. Now it depends on which of the seats you want to take. So it shows you a overview of the stadium and where the seats are. So when you book for the ticket, you just go to where you are sitting, because that seat, trust me, is just waiting for you. So the customer clicks on the performance they want to see, okay? A date and time is typed in. The required number of seats is also entered, okay? The seating displayed at the venue is shown on the screen, okay? The user selects the seat by highlighting the actual seat on the screen, and then you can confirm to go to the next part. Now the database is what the database will do now is to search for the availability of that seat. Is it available or is it be taken? Remember, it operates on the real-time processing, okay? The seat is available, the total number of price is shown plus the seat number, and it is shown on another screen of the web page, okay? If the customer is happy, can confirm on the screen, and of course the seats are not temporarily held and set by number as no longer available. Now this will stop other people from actually booking that seat, okay? The customer will enter their personal details to get the seats. Payment is then made, and the theater is then set to booked in the customer's name, okay? The final details are then shown. A preview of all the details are shown on the screen, and of course the email is now sent to your mail, and of course with the QR code as well, that the person and the bouncer or whatever is able to scan to check if you have actually paid for it, okay? The database is finally updated with the booking reservation. Now it is the same thing for a sporting event. Now for a sporting event, like let's say this is Etihad, right? Apologies to guys who are Old Trafford, who are the Red Devils, Old Trafford, the Allianz Arena, the Bayern Munich, or those who they would never walk alone, right? Something happened, you walked alone, so I don't know what happened, right? The Blues or whatever. So, but let's take this as an example of Etihad, right? I'm a Man City fan, so no apologies to the Man U guys, right? There's no offense, okay? You guys are trying, okay? So now this shows the total number of seats in the stadium, okay? Now you see that this is where you can sit down. This is the entrance, the next wing, the south entrance, the south wing, the north wing. This is where the footballers comes in from, okay? And now all these seats are what you can book. We have the north wing, we have the east, we have the south, we have the west, okay? Now remember, the more closer you are to the viewing, the more expensive you're going to pay for the seats, okay? So it's just what it is for that, okay? Now what happens is this. Now the customer will need to select the event. They require this. Which of the home matches of Man City are you watching? So we won't like paying ahead of time. Like I want to pay. Let's say I want to pay for Arsenal Man City versus Arsenal. I want to pay for it, so I can pay for it on time. So I have to pay less. So once it's that time, I can actually go to watch for it. So you pay for the one that you feel that you have a more free time to actually watch, okay? They are often sold in blocks, so the database will search to see if there's any seat available, okay? The seat will not show on the booking map, which is different to the concept of booking system. So if the seat is taken, the number is also taken out from the seat, so you don't actually have to see it, okay? And once the confirmation is made, still on the same process, you'll be sent the QR code, which the attendant is going to scan. Now the advantage of booking sporting event online is the same for the online booking concert and cinema as well, okay? One additional feature is the ability to book flights and hotel as if the place takes place even if it takes place overseas. You can be able to book for it. Okay, so I hope this is able to explain to you guys how the booking, the sporting event, and the flight ticketing is done as well. So thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. In our next video, we'll be looking at the banking application. We're going to the banking sector. Yes, we'll be going to the banking sector. So thank you, thank you guys, and have a wonderful time. Lights out. Welcome to the 6th video of ICT application, and this time around we'll be looking at the banking system for students who wishes to work in the bank, who wishes to do anything banking client, and you having that that stigma. Am I really suited? I don't like ICT. I don't have a flair for ICT. Well, oops, joke's on you, because you are going to be using a lot of ICT tools to work in the bank. Okay, so let's get right to it. Okay, so we'll be looking at the banking system. Now, we have come to realize that the word ICT, from all the videos, we realize that it is changing every field. And the banking system is not left out from this wonderful application that ICT have come into the system, and it's come to stay. It's even getting better and better and better and better and better. Okay, so today we'll be looking at in the banking applications, what has ICT helped in the banking application, and one of them is the use of what automatic or automated rather teller machine. 2 electronic funds transfers and credit debit card transactions, check clearing, and internet banking, and we'll be looking at it one by one. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so we'll be looking at the automatic teller machine. Okay, and in the automatic teller machine, the first thing we need to understand is that the ATM, which is your cash machine, can be used for various purposes. Okay, and this includes your cash withdrawals, cash deposits, checking of statements, and actually printing of statement. Right now, in the ATM, it allows customers to carry out these things, and not just that, you can also deposit checks, you can see a mini bank statement, you can pay bills. And what are the bills you have to pay? Electricity, your other bills, right? Subscription bills and the likes of that. Okay, you can do a money transfer, transferring your money to another account, as the case may be. Okay, now showing a typical ATM process. This is a typical right here. A typical ATM process. How does it go about? Okay, the first thing is the customer place in the card into here, right here. Okay, and once placing the card, it shows the name of how that is done. Okay, it shows the name of how that is done. It shows the name of the card owner. Okay, once it shows the name of the card owner, the next thing it does is it takes you to where you can put your PIN, and that PIN means personal identification number. Right, it is compared with the PIN stored in the chip, right? And if the PIN is the same, of course, you know what happens. Then it gives you clearance. So this is what happens right here when you are withdrawing, and what goes behind it. Okay, when the PIN is entered, the PIN is checked to see if it's correct. If it's not correct, you have to retype. Okay, the card is checked also to see if the card has an expiry, to check the duration of the card, if it's exceeded or not, or to check also if the card has been stolen. Okay, if the card is stolen, or if the PIN attempt exceeds 3 times, then that card is restrained and your transaction is automatically closed. But if that does not happen and you've been able to overcome that hurdle, right, then a number of options are displayed for you right here, and you can see the options that are being displayed for you right here. Okay, and once you pick withdrawing, okay, this is cash, then you can select the number of amounts you want to withdraw, and of course the customer will accept one of the cash options or types in different amounts, like we've said. Now the customer account is checked to see if that customer has a sufficient amount of what he or she wants to withdraw, and the check is then made to see if the daily cash limit has not been exceeded. There are some cards there are some accounts that are different tiers. So if your account is tier 1, you might not be able to withdraw maybe 100,000 in a day, and that restricts you because that is when you can withdraw for that day. Okay, if it's not exceeded and all checks are okay, then that transaction is then authorized. Okay, and then the cash is then counted out by the machine. You start hearing the sound, right? And then the customer is asked, do you want a receipt? No, you have your cash. Or whether you want the receipt or not, you still have your cash. Do you want to perform that transaction? And yes or no. And then if you say no, that means you are done for the day and the card is slotted out for you, and then you can go. Okay, and then your account balance will now be updated. Okay, that is just what happens. Okay, on that, it's just a simple process of what it happens right there. So what are the advantages of using ATM cards? What are the advantages of using the ATM machine? Right, it is possible to withdraw cash at any time of the day. Okay, and they offer many banking services, okay, that we have talked about. Offer so many banking services without need of you going to the bank. So many, like your airtime, paying of bills, utilities, and likes of that, and you don't have to go to the bank for, right? You can just be in the comfort of your go to any of the branch nearest ATM, and you can do that without disturbing anybody right there in the bank. Okay, and that will actually avoid queuing. Okay, and it is possible to access that your account from anywhere in the world. If you open your account in Lagos and for some reason you're in Abuja, you don't have to come to Lagos to withdraw your money. Come on, that's like 15th century or something, you know. And that is that. Okay, but then again, it doesn't go without some disadvantages. Okay, and disadvantage here is it is used in places where theft can take place at night. It's lonely to go to the ATM at night, and I will highly recommend that you don't even go there, especially at night. You don't even go there. Please do not go there. Okay, there is potential for shoulders, surfing and card cloning scams. Okay, people can actually snoop to see your PIN, and your cards can also be cloned. Okay, some bank charge customers for using ATM. This is the reality of the truth, and that is the disadvantage. Okay, cash withdrawal limits are often imposed on customers. There are some cards that they have limits and you can't go beyond that, even though you have excess of money. Okay, if your debit card is faulty, if your card is faulty, you can't carry out any transaction. Okay, so now let's look at the other one, electronic funds transfer. Okay, the electronic fund transfer allows money to be transferred electronically from one fund to another. Okay, an example of the EFT is the employer pays his employee their salaries. Okay, so it's a system that allows money transfer to be sent directly to your to the bank computer system. Okay, so when an ETF receives instruction right here, the computer system automatically transfers a specific amount from one account to another. One common use of the ETF is the payment of salaries that we've talked about to the staff of the company. Okay, and on the day when the payment is made, the company informs the bank to transfer money from their account to the bank accounts of employee. So an instruction is being given from the employer side to the bank, and of course the amounts are credited accordingly. Another example of the EFT is when the credit or debit account is used to pay for a purchase in a store. Okay, the payment is made using a system called the electronic fund transfer at point of sales, which is called the EFT POS. So you need to understand, it's very, very important. This is key. So when a debit card is used, when you pay for a purchase in the store, like you go to the store, if you're paying cash, you put your card, that's an electronic fund transfer. So the money is being transferred automatically without any form of exchange, automatically. Okay. So what is the advantage of the EFT? It is a secure payment method. Okay, a secure payment method. It is very quick payment method. Okay, it is less expensive. Okay, for example, using a check. So very quick, very secured, and customer has the right to dispute an ATM payment for up to 6 days. If there's any issue on the payment, you can make complaints about that. Okay, then we have disadvantages. Okay, and once an amount has been transferred from the bank, it cannot be reversed. Okay, customer needs to have funds immediately available in the account. Okay, unlike your check. It cannot guarantee the recipients. Okay, it cannot guarantee that is someone with a fake ID could collect your money, and we have to guide against that. The next one is the credit debit card transactions. Okay, now the first thing you realize is every debit or credit card has a chip. Okay, which I explained to you guys in class. Okay, and they have a magnetic stripe. Okay, now the chip contains key information such as the PIN. Right, the PIN is very, very important. That's what it contains, the PIN. Now this system is designed to enhance security. Okay, and the security talks about, for example, you want to transfer money from the merchant bank to the customer bank. Okay, and you have issues, or you want to transfer, the process in which it goes. For example, now let me show you this. Okay, let me open the slide right here and actually paint a picture of what I'm explaining here right now. Okay, so let me show you this. Now, for example, we have this right here. Okay, processing your credit and debit card transaction. Now we have the QBN, right, which is Qatar National Bank. Okay, it's a bank in Qatar, right, and which is the customer's bank, and the merchant bank, which is the company's bank, which is RBS, which is the Royal Bank of Scotland. Okay, is a bank in Scotland. Wants to transfer money to the Qatar National Bank. Now what happens is this. Okay, the funds are transferred, okay, from the customer to the merchant. You're buying something. That's what the merchant, you are acquiring something. You want to buy something from the customer is in Qatar, and he has a bank which is the Qatar National Bank, and he wants to buy something from the Royal Bank of. He wants to buy something from someone in Scotland that is operating on the Royal Bank of Scotland. Now what happens is this: the person transfers the funds from his or her bank, which is the Qatar National Bank, and there is a check-in from his own bank to that bank. Now, if the funds are not transferred, this is what happens here, right? If there's a transaction decline, now the card holder is paying by card, and card will be placed in chips and PIN reader. Okay, the PIN will be entered to proceed with what transaction. Now, using details of the card over here, the merchant bank contacts the card holder's bank to check for sufficient funds to complete the transaction. Now, if the transaction is not completed and there is a decline, they call the bank to know what happened. This person paid with the card, but this card was not credited, and then we can be able to iron out to know why the Qatar National Bank, for some reason, after making the transfer, right, the funds were not transferred to the Royal Bank of Scotland. So that is just the process in which it goes through. Okay, so that's just what it means. So the system is designed to enhance security because it is better than relying only on what a signature, right? It's better than just either signing. So paying for an item using a chip or a PIN card is a form of electronic fund transfer. You need to understand this. It's very, very important. Paying for item using your chip and PIN card, which is your credit or debit card, is a form of what electronic fund transfer, your EFT, right? Now, there are examples that are given in the textbook, and you can see going to restaurants with your cards to pay, what happens, and that. Okay, it's the same thing as if you're going to an ATM to do that. Okay. Now we have the advantages and disadvantages of using a credit and a debit. Okay, for example, there's a customer protection if a company stops trading or goods do not arrive. There's that protection that is being given. Another advantage of the credit is international. Is accepted internationally or globally, worldwide. Is accepted worldwide. You can use it to pay for any thing online globally. Okay, the interest-free loan if money paid, right? Because what the bank will give you, you pay and the bank will credit it in that currency. Okay, within a great time period, and less. You can buy items online using your credit card. Okay, and the more loans you take and you pay on time, you get a good credit score, right? And although you can be charged with high rates and annual fees often apply, but it is easy to end up with credit damage, and that can actually mount up. Okay, if you don't pay on time and you're having some issues you have to deal with. Security risks when you're using your credit card online. There are risks with your card online. It can be hacked, the likes of that. Now let's look at debit card. And we said credit card is used globally, while your debit card is used on that particular country. You cannot use it to carry out transactions, foreign transactions. Okay, and money comes from the customer's point account. Okay, is at your account. There is no interest charges to that. Okay, it is safer than carrying cash. We have to admit, you can put in 1 million in your card and nobody will know if 1 million is there's 1 million in your account just by holding the card. Okay, and you can buy items online and like that. Although there are disadvantages, and that's less customer protection than credit card if you do not arrive or the company goes out of business. Okay, no credit card allowed. That is, customer must have funds available. Security risk when using your debit card as well. So we're looking at checks, and checks are oldest way of paying someone for goods or services. Okay, and it's a slow process, it's less secured of making payment, and we're looking at the advantage right away. It is more convenient and safer than cash. It's still better than cash, right? You can stop payment if necessary, and checks can be drawn anytime. You can just drop check anytime and to give to whoever wants to make that withdrawal. Checks can be post-dated. You can write ahead for it to be paid, and checks can be traced if they are lost. If your checks are lost, they can be traced. Okay, disadvantage is that they are not legal tender. Okay, and can be refused. Some banks can actually bounce your check back, and it's a slow method of payment because it takes usually 24 to 48 hours for your money to be credited. So it's not instant because there's a lot of process it has to go through. It is easier for fraudsters than credit card or debit card payment method. Fraudsters can impersonate someone, kill the person on the way or whatever, and just take the check and pay, right? It's relatively expensive method. So this is a sample of how the credit card, your check is, and that's how it is. I showed you a practical example also for Naira, how the Naira check is, but this is how it is in a dollar check. Okay. Yeah, I think the next one is your internet banking, and that's the last one we'll be looking at before we go. The internet banking, and in the internet banking we have, so in the internet banking, right? In the internet banking we have that's computers in retail, and we have the point of sales terminals. But before then, we have what we call the online banking. And the online banking can now access their banks. Customers can now access their bank accounts online on secure websites using these authentication techniques. Okay, some banks have also developed online banking applications, okay, to allow customers to access their account by mobile phones and tablet. Okay, customers can use the online banking to check their balance, manage direct debits, transfer money internally and what externally. Okay, apply for loans as the case may be. Okay, and we also have the point of sales terminal. That is, in the point of sales terminal, we have the barcode that appears on most products sold in shops. Okay, they allow for quick identification of the product details once the barcode has been scanned by the barcode reader. So once that has been done by the barcode reader, supermarkets use the point of sales which incorporates a barcode reader to scan the barcode and retrieve the price of the article. It also relays information back to the computer system, allowing it to update its file. Now the barcodes are made up of what? Alternating dark and light lines of varied thickness. Okay, a number of underneath the barcode usually consists of 4 parts. You can see that there are 4 parts there. You see the country code is there, manufacturing code, the product code, and a check digit. Okay, the check digit is the form of validation, okay, which is used to ensure that no error occurs during the reading of the barcodes. Okay, now barcodes are used in automatic control of stock levels in supermarket to keep updated prices. Okay, and they are attached to all items sold in supermarket. Is associated with stock files and the case maybe. Okay, we have the electronic fund transfer at point of sale, which I've also explained, talking about how you can use your PIN, contactless card, and the likes of that. Now we have the use of tokenization with mobile phones. Okay, so now tokenization is used when setting up what? A mobile wallet. You're setting up a mobile wallet. Okay, this allows the user to take a photograph of their credit card using the smartphone camera, and details of the card such as card number are sent by the smartphone manufacturers, whatever. Now the bank now replaces the details of the card with series of random generated numbers called your tokens. Now what this happens is that they send back to the manufacturer your phone, your mobile phone manufacturers, and what happens is that the program will now run this sequence of numbers back to the smartphone. Okay, and the random number is then used for transactions, right? But the more you perform a transaction, what was it? You know, a transaction, you see a space where you put the digits. So it sends to the bank your card. It's quite simple. You put in your card details online to buy something. I mean, what happens is that the system captures it and sends it to the bank and performs without your number, without your 16-digit number, and performs a random number. That's what the system does. It generates a number from the 16-digit of your number in your card and gives you as an OTP, which you put, and then it now synchronizes that with your card. Okay, and of course, many smartphones are also protected by touch IDs or Face ID technology, which means that even if the smartphone is stolen, the thief still cannot use the smartphone to make payment because of the touch ID. Your Apple, if your Apple is touch ID and you need your touch ID to make any payment, okay? Without your face, that cannot be paid. Internet shopping, we love it. Ladies love shopping on the internet. They shop a lot. Okay, so using the internet banking requires good online security, because you want to put your cards on websites that are secure, and then there are some good websites that are also secure that allows the management of what bank account online, including what transfer of money between accounts, okay, payment of bills, ordering of statement, and so on. This is of a particular benefit to people who are unable to visit bank during their normal opening hours, or if they are traveling to the bank, or if traveling to the bank is difficult. So there are so many advantages of the internet banking and disadvantages too. But when it comes to online shopping, right, there are positive and negative effects. We have to look at it. Online shopping and banking means that more people can stay at home to buy goods and services. You can manage their bank account, book holidays, book flights, and just have the best of time with that. Now, what are the advantages? There is no need to travel into those towns, and that is reducing cost and time, the stress for you to actually go in that, okay, entering traffic and the likes of that. Users can now have access to worldwide markets. You can be able to access 5 pages of the things you want to buy, get the full knowledge of how well the prices are, so that people don't actually cheat you, okay. You can be able to access any shop or bank without need to leave home, okay, and that's actually a very big benefit, okay. It's online 24 hours, people are always making payment and the likes of that. Disadvantages, there is there's a possibility of isolation and lack of socialization. We don't have to take that away. Possible health risks associated with online shopping or banking, lack of experience, okay, that you don't know how to go about it, okay. Security issues are a major concern in your system, because connected to the internet, there could be viruses, there could be phishing, there could be spamming. You could go to websites that are not genuine. They look genuine, but they're not genuine, okay. Of course, for you to be able to have an internet shopping experience, you need to have a computer, and you have to pay for internet to have that experience, okay. High-stakes jobs and banks are closing because of the increase of online shopping and that, okay. Local independent retailers will lose out because they are not online, and they will not be able to get the kind of customers they are looking for, okay. So that's all for ICT application in banking systems. See you in the next video. Hey guys, welcome to the 7th video of ICT application, and of course I remain your host, Mr. Ajiro, and we'll be looking at another wonderful subtopic, which is application of ICT in the medical field, the hospital field. Yes, looking at medicine. So how vital is computer in medicine? And you need to understand that computer demands effort. We've looked at banking, we've seen the transformation of ICT in banking, and we're not bringing that transformation now in medicine. Now we can, you need to note that computers are used in many areas of medicine, not just the ones we're going to talk about, but more than even what we're going to even talk about, because there is so many uses of computer in the medical field that they have used, and they are still going to use, right? They are still going to use. And the first one of the so many uses of computers in medicine is patient records. We'll talk about patient record, talk about database that can hold patient details, and those details can be accessed from any computers within the hospital intranet. We talked about intranet, we talked about internet, we talked about extranet. So I want to actually go back to your notes to actually check on that. So doctors and hospitals need to keep accurate records of all their patients, okay. This is to ensure correct diagnosis and treatment, and up-to-date medical history is part of the diagnostic process. With the help of database, they can be able to know the issues this person is having from prior hospitals, and that's one of the good things about the computerized system in the medical firm. You can be able to check the medical history of this patient all through the hospitals he or she have gone through, okay. Databases are kept by doctors and hospitals so that data can be shared, see that, between medical practitioners and pharmacies. For example, to ensure no drugs are prescribed which interact with each other in an unsafe manner. Database also allow a quick and easy search for patient records, okay? And this could be very important in emergency. That's one of the good things about the computer in medicine. In terms of emergency, you want to make quick search, what could be the reason? You can have that in a possible time, okay? When assessing the patient's medical history, could mean the difference between what? Life and death. It could also mean that medication can be prescribed without losing issuing paper prescription. An email could be sent to the pharmacy instead, okay? Now, sort of data which will be required on a patient database. What are the information of needed on the patient database? First of all, a unique number is assigned to that patient. Every hospital have a unique number, okay? We have the name, the address of the patient, date of birth of the patient, gender of the patient, medical history of that patient, the blood group of the patient, non-allergies of the patient, doctors that have been handling that patient, any current treatment he or she is currently having, any current diagnosis he or she is having, and additional information like CT scan, if they've had CT scan, X-rays, and the likes of that. That brings us to the patient's identification, talking about barcodes or wristbands of the patient that can be used to assess the patient records, okay? There can be barcodes on the wristband. So you just start, people, advanced hospitals do it, right? There is a barcode on the wristband, okay? Pharmacy records, okay? It can generate labels for drugs. Check if the patient is allergic to what? A particular drug. Now we have what we call the use of the 3D printer. Now before we quickly go into the 3D printer, let's look at something. Let's look at let's look at that right here. That's 6. Okay, so let's look at it here. Now you see that not just keeping patients' records, but also monitoring what? The vital signs. Okay, vital signs. For example, the patient can be, for example, in the hospital, and we can use it to, with the help of the computer, we can use it to measure the vital signs of the person. If the person is alive, if the person is dead, the system gives an indication that that patient is actually currently recovering. And what could be the problem in that? Monitoring the heartbeat and the likes of them. And this is done with what? A controlled system. Of course, the use of expert systems, which is what we're going to talk in our next video, to actually diagnose what illnesses can be done. Now let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of information system, the use of computers in medicine. We can see that computer can take more accurate, more frequent readings of patients. Okay, they can take in readings. They read. It's not like back then they use human. You use your hand to touch and the human to know if the person has fever or whatever. It's crazy, right? Right? So disadvantage is our equipment could be more expensive. Purchasing this equipment is no joke. It's quite expensive, right? Computers can respond quicker to any changes in patient's condition. That's another thing. So the moment the patient is reacting, the computer is sending signal. That's this patient, you make beep, 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 beep. It's actually reacting to the to stimuli of that patient. Okay, trainings are also required for the nurses, doctors to be able to use this equipment effectively. Okay, staff are available to complete other tasks, right? They can just be there, and while they are doing other things, they can be monitoring the patient while also doing other things. Okay, data can be stored in a central place. There can be a central database, talking about parallel database or distributed parallel database, where all the informations are saved, saving physical space which could be required to store paper records. Though we are still looking at a computer, there's still a need to actually put in the manual. Okay, and system could stop responding, which is also not very, very, very good. Okay, so let's get back to 3D printing. Now, the use of 3D printers talking about the third-dimensional printers, right? We first introduced it in the previous chapters, right? And they are used in a number of fields and is rapidly progressing. Now, 3D printers is not just in medicine; they're used in engineering to produce a lot of things. Okay. Now, one of the most innovative uses is in the field of medicine. Okay. The following is just a small insight to development that's taken across the world. Now we have the surgical and diagnostic aids, which is very, very important, right? We can print out those anatomical parts, right, using the 3D printers, right, and they're used as aid towards diagnosis and surgical procedures. Okay, especially when those equipments are not available, the 3D printer can actually get something that they can use for the surgery. Then we have the computed tomography, which involves producing image of the internal part of the body in a series of thin lines. Okay, we use that to produce. You put the person on the machine, it will scan the whole body, and you can be able to see if there's any bone disjointed or whatever that's messing for you. We have the magnetic resonance imaging. Now, this is a strong magnetic fields and radio waves to produce series of images of the internal organs of the body. Okay, now a 3D printer can then produce this 3D representation of a patient's internal organ, blood vessel, major arteries, tumors, and so on. So that's the function of the 3D printer. After getting an image of the patient, they produce these organs of this patient, and they try to see how they can do the surgery on that model. Okay, the doctors or surgeon can use it to show the patient exactly what is wrong and then show them what procedures are required. So they can see their own body by 3D printing and tell them what it is. Now, this allows for patient engagement, which should be missing from the more traditional, right, consultational method. They can be able to see what is wrong in their body just by looking at the model, the prototype that has been created. It can also help the surgeon when planning surgical procedures because they can see exactly what is required well in advance of what the operation. Now, in this way, 3D printing can be used for diagnostics and pre-surgical aids. Okay, and that is that. The next one is prosthetic. The prosthetic, it's being used to print out these false arms, hands, and legs. In case somebody's hand is amputated or legs amputated, I'm not very good in medicine and not my very best field because I get scared of blood. I get scared of a lot of things. Medicine is not terrified of taking drugs, so it's really itchy for me. It's really going deep in explaining all these things. Okay, so please bear with me, right? And of course, the state of art. It costs a lot of money to actually put up those arms, false arms, legs, and legs. Okay, and of course, they're still working on it to ensure that there is a more better way to go about it. We have tissue engineering. Okay, and this allows 3D printing of printing biocompatible materials. Okay, cells and supporting structures. Right now, talking about producing artificial cells and tissues, right, within the 3D printed object. Now, using biolinks, talking about complex process that require input from biologists, medical engineering, physicists, and other engineering to be able to get this work done. Okay, of course, it has already been used successfully, so it's not just on the trial phase, right, to produce a multi-layer skin tissues, bone tissues, heart, and the likes of that. You do it to produce heart and all the rest, and that will replace your heart. I'm so not so comfortable being talking about all this, but yeah, it's pain. I'm feeling as if it's my heart that will ripping off my. So there's still much research to do, and the medicine is still a work in progress. They've seen the beauty of ICT of computers coming in, and they're doing a lot of good with it. We have the artificial blood vessel. Okay, the 3D printing of artificial blood vessel using human cells, work in the same way as that. Okay, customized medicine. 3D printing can actually do that, right? To suit the individual. This is known as, we call it patient-centric medicine. Okay, and they are referred to as what? Printlets, printed tablets. In fact, what they do is, as newly developed medicines are now very potent, you can have different effects on different people. So there is now a need to review the manufacturing method used to produce them. The 3D printing offers the possibility of creating personalized medicine, which allows automatic control release of the medicine into the patient. It even allows multiple medicine within a single printlet to make fix those with combination, and allows for the optimal release of each medicine in the body. Now, there's so much about it, talking about tailored medicine to suit the individual, better control of the medicine release into the body, saves money, talking about meaning modern medicine are quite expensive, better targeting of the medicine so its effects can be what? Optimized, and the likes of that. So thank you so much. Talking about the patient monitoring, I just want to hit on it. Is we use sensors, right? Talking about your inputs that measure the changes in temperature, heart rate, breathing rate, brain activities, blood pressure, blood sugar level, oxygen levels, your oxygen levels in the patient body. Okay, the analog signals from the sensors are then converted into digital signals. Talking about the ADC, right? Using an analog to digital converter. Graphs are produced to show trends over time. The readings are constantly compared with the preset values. If the values aren't in the prescribed range, the medical staffs are also notified. Hospital management system. Yes, all the above mentioned are under the hospital management system, which holds all of them, and they can be accessed. I used to access the data from all departments. The expert system I talk about an interactive screen, right? An interactive screen that compares, that asks series of questions for a doctor to answer using keyboards or a touch screen, right? And is an inference engine that compares the symptoms with knowledge base using the rule base to find matches. And finally, we have the system suggests the possible illness with probability of each cure and recommendation. And there's also an explanation system that will explain how this particular diagnosis was suggested. So important right now. So important. Even design of medical tools and equipment. We talked about it. Design of medical tools and equipment with the help of what? The 3D printer, which tools can be made faster and with reduced cost. Okay, they can also be made. There are changes that can be made to those tools. Of course, it's not the same with the traditional method. Thank you so much for sticking out with this video. See you in the next video. Hello, this is Mr. Ajiro. Welcome to yet another epic video, and this is the 8th video of ICT application, and we'll be looking at the expert system. Okay, the first thing we have to realize is what is an expert system, and then again we transgress to know areas in which this expert system can be implemented. The first thing is expert systems are used to provide expert opinions, okay, without the need for the expert, by using a system allowing the user to query the knowledge base to find solutions to their problem. Okay, that is what an expert system is all about. They provide expert solutions without the need of actually consulting this expert. Now, these expert systems have been developed to mimic the expertise and knowledge of an expert in a particular field. Okay, that is what the system does. It's developed to be like the person, but is a machine, right? Just like an ATM, right? It's trying to be like a bank that works 24 hours, like a human being that will actually pay you money, collect money from you, carry out transactions 24 hours. But instead of a person, it has been replaced with a machine. So invariably, the expertise in depositing, in withdrawing, have put his or her knowledge base into that system in such a way that human beings can actually now use it to can now interact with the system, and they can be able to perform transaction. The same vein when it comes to the medical field. So these examples of expert systems are diagnosing a person's illness, diagnostics, talking about finding fault in car engine, finding fault on a circuit board. We have tax and financial calculations, identification of plants, animals, and chemical compounds. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. Okay. So let's see the components of an expert system. It's important that we know the components of an expert system. Okay. So let's look at it. The diagram. This is the diagram in which it goes. We have the user interface, the inference engine, and of course we have the knowledge base, something like this, the knowledge base. Then we have the rule base, and of course the explanation system. So this is a typical makeup of an expert system. Now let's look at the advantages of an expert system. They offer high level of expertise, they offer high accuracy, the results are consistent, they have the ability to store vast amount of ideas, and in fact these are quite simple, which I've explained in class. It is possible for an expert to have multiple type of expertise. Yes, it's possible. An expert can have multiple people who are professionals giving their ideas into the system, and that's a good advantage. Okay, it offers a very fast response time. Whenever you go to the ATM, instant, you've been paid instantly. We don't have to wait for human to actually count the money. I want to withdraw 30,000. They will bring out, they will count it for you, and before they will check it, do this, debit you before you've been given your money. The moment the money is being taken out from the machine, you are being debited immediately. Okay, it doesn't go without some disadvantages, because the use of expert systems need considerably training, right? In its use, right? You have to train people, train your personnel on how to use this machine, and train users on how they can use this machine to get the answers that they want, right? The setup and maintenance costs are very, very high. Okay, and they tend to give very good response. If you don't have money, you don't have money. If you have illness, it goes straight to the point of what is wrong with you. It doesn't sugarcoat it, because it's a system, right? The information is only as good as what is being sent to the system, and that is why if it's a bad information, definitely you're going to get a bad result. Okay, of course, users sometimes make the very dangerous assumption that they are infallible, and that can be a disadvantage as well. So let's explain the components: the user interface, inference engine, the knowledge base, and likes of that. Now, for the user interface, we see that it's a method by which the expert system interacts with the user, right? It allows interaction to dialog boxes, command prompt, or other input methods. Okay, the question being asked usually have yes or no, okay, and are based on the response to previous questions. Okay, explanation system. This informs the users of reasoning behind the expert systems. Okay, the conclusions and recommended actions. For example, suppose the user was investigating a series of symptoms, the patient and the expert system gives the diagnosis of bakery poison. The explanation system will explain its reason with a statement such as impaired vision, lack of coordination, weak muscle, slur speech. The patient would used to work in a paint factory, and the user could then probe deeper if necessary. The expert system, of course, supply a conclusion and any suggested actions to take. The important thing it gives is the percentage probability of the accuracy. How accurate is this result? It tells you it's 65% accurate, 75% accurate, and you know by the level of accuracy. Inference engine, on the other hand, acts like a search engine Okay, and is responsible for gathering information from the user by asking a series of what questions. And of course, the inference engine is a problem-solving part of the expert system. Okay, because the knowledge base is a collection of objects and the attribute, the inference engine attempts to use this information gathered from users to find the object that matches. We have the knowledge base, which is an offset of facts, and it stores all the knowledge about areas of experts obtained from a number of expert resources. That's what it does. These have been designed to allow complex storage and retrieval requirement of a computerized knowledge-based management system. Okay. The rule base, on the other hand, the rules base is nothing more of like setting up a series of inference rules. If a country is South Africa or South America, then and the language used is Portuguese, then that country must be Brazil. Kind of like that, the rule, right? And these inference rules are used by the inference engine to draw conclusions. Okay, they closely follow humans like reasoning. Yeah, they're closely followed by human reasoning. Subjective diagnosis. Okay, explanation system will explain how that particular diagnosis was suggested. Interactive screen asks series of questions for you to for the system to be able to diagnose what's actually wrong with you. That series of questions. The inference engine will compare that symptom with the knowledge base, right, using the rule base to find the matches. The system suggests the possible illness with the probability of each cure and recommendation for the next step to be taken. Okay, and what other thing am I missing? Yes, setting up an expert system. How do we set up an expert system? So let's look at it. The first one is information needs to be gathered from human experts or from written sources such as textbooks, research paper, or the internet. Information gathered is used to populate the knowledge base, which should be first created. So the first one, information is gathered. A knowledge base has to be created, which should now populate the system. The rule base needs to be created, and this is made up of series of inference rules. Okay, inference rules. So the inference engine can draw conclusions. The inference engine itself needs to be set up, right? And it's a complex system since it is the main processing element. Okay, the user interface needs to be developed as well to allow users to be able to interact with the system. And when the system is set up, it needs to be fully tested as well. Okay, there's an example here that said users giving an input to this, giving the system interacting with the user, the expert system running those diagnoses or taking the user's input and giving a possible solution right there at the output screen. So I think this one will call it to close. We have others like OS perspective. Now that talks about, of course, that's another example which a system can be developed. Questions are asked about the geographical profile, and of course, you can be able to know where you can drill your oil. And we have route scheduling for delivering vehicles as well. Shows you the route, numbers of drop-off points, their location, distance between the drop-off point, the type of vehicle used, delivering time expected at each drop-off point, and the layout of the road network. So thank you so much for tuning in to Expert System, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome to yet another ICT application video, and this is the 9th video. And in this video we'll be looking at the recognition we'll be looking at the recognition system. Now let's get to it. So the first thing you want to know is, what is a recognition system? Now, a recognition system is used to directly enter data, right, into the computer word system. That's what it is, right? It recognizes the data, and there is a sensor that sends that data into the computer system, right? And this recognition system tend to be more accurate and quicker, right, as a method for entering data into the computer system. It's way faster compared to the manual method. Okay, so we'll be looking at the recognition systems in various ways, various devices. I will start with the optical mark recognition. The optical mark recognition. So let's look at that. Let's look at the first. The optical mark recognition. I will look at it in medias, in schools. And what it does is, for the optical mark recognition, it is used in schools. They are used for school registers and for multiple choice papers, right? Okay, papers. That's your MCQ. Okay, that's multiple choice examination papers. For registers, the register, which is the hardware, is fed into the OMR to be scanned and then stored on the database. For examination, for multiple choice, the position of the mark is stored in the computer memory. The mark is stored in computer memory after being read by the OMR device, right? Using a template that maps out the XY coordinate of each long Z. So we have it as the pen or pencil mark. Another important thing we should know about the OMR is that it's a method for entering data in the computer system, right? It reads both your pencil or pen or marks in a predefined position on the paper. And if you check it here, you can see that, for example, this is a good example of an OMR right here. Now this is a multiple choice question, and the way it's been done, use your pencil to answer the question, and this particular paper right here is slotted into this machine. Now the marks is stored in this memory, so it reads it with the answer it has this OMR, and if it's the correct one, it gets the total. It gives you total rating, which is being stored in the computer system. That's what it does. So the OMR data entry contains information that converts the presence or absence of mark into a computer data file, and that is what it does. So what is acceptable is a black pen or a pencil, and which is being scanned by this particular machine. The next one we'll be looking at is so I'll look at the OMR both in school registers and of course for the multiple choice question papers. So the next one is, of course, the advantages of the OMR right here is the faster way of imputing result of a survey. That's one. And they are more accurate than keying in the data. That's two. And they are accurate than the optical character methods. And we're going to look at what the OCR does. Disadvantage on the other hand is that it needs to be carefully designed to make sure the marks or shading are correctly positioned to gather accurate information. Okay, and there can be problems if they are not filled correctly. Okay, they often work limited with the black pen or the pencil, as the case may be. Of course, they are limited to questions on the paper, so it's not possible to get an expansion. Like you cannot have it's just multiple choice questions, and for registers that have that thing that has been coded. So we'll look at the next one right here, which is the OCR, and the OCR is your optical character recognition. Okay, so that's what it does. Now with the optical character recognition, and I've showed you guys in class how it works, is able to scan text, and that text is converted in a format that can be edited. So it scans anything hardware and it makes it into a digitalized form, just like talking about digitalization, conversion of your text into a digital form. So for example, you can have a passport and you place that passport right here on the machine, and that thing shows on the system. So it converts that plain text or that paper document or passport into what? A digitalized form. That's just what the OCRO does. That's just what it does. Addition to it, how it works in terms of image acquisition, in terms of text recognition, in terms of pattern matching, in terms of feature extraction, because they can be able to extract those informations that is on that passport, and those informations can actually be worked on, and that's just what it does. Okay, the next one is your MICR, okay, which is your magnetic ink character reader. Your magnetic ink character reader. Of course, most of these things have been covered in chapter 2, so it's not actually very new to most of us. Okay, for our magnetic ink character recognition, it's used for checks. Okay, it's used for checks, and it's used to it's found at the bottom of the checks, and they are being scanned. So you bring out your check, and there's a machine for it, which you place that particular check into it, and it is able to capture what it is. So the magnetic ink character recognition, right, enables the computer to rapidly read and record numbers or other information from what? Printed documents. For printed documents, such as your personal checks, right? So the information is the check number, the routing number, and of course the account number. Okay, the next one is your RFID. The next one is your RF. So for also the magnetic ink character reader, it is also to check, right, and to validate if that check is actually what? Genuine. They will check and confirm against their system to check if that particular check is genuine, to ensure that that check is not a fraud or somebody is just trying to mimic the signature, because it checks to the signature to check if that is the actual signature of the owner of the check signing for that check. Yes, and also the number. Okay, and also the number, very important. Okay, so let's move on to the RFID, which is your radio frequency identification number. So let's look at it, how the RFID works. Although the RFID has been covered also in chapter 2, but still we're still going to look at it to see what it does. Okay, so I have it here. Now for your RFID, right, it is a wireless communication that incorporates the use of what? Electronic magnetic or electrostatic coupling of the radio frequency position or to uniquely identify an object, right? Remember that there is a tag to it. Okay, so whenever that tag is placed on any material or any cargo, we can be able to trace where that particular object is located. We can be able to place where that particular object is located. Okay, so how does it work? Now, if you check how it works, you will discover that the RFID consists of 3 components. One, there is a scanning antenna, right? There is a transceiver, and there is a transponder. Okay, now how this works is that when the scanning antenna and the transceiver are combined, they are referred to as what? The RFID reader or interrogators. And there are 2 types of RFID readers. We have the fixed readers and we have the mobile reader. So it's a network device that can be portable and can be permanently attached. You see the way they do that in some cartons that they are going to ship out to other countries, and they use that tag on those cartons so that they can be able to locate where those containers or where those things are when they are taken into other countries. Okay, so it also uses the radio wave to transmit what signals that activate the tag. Okay, once activated, the tag sends a wave back to the antenna when it is translated into what the data. When it's translated what into the data. Okay, now the transponder is. I was talking about the RFID. Okay, and what I was talking about in the RFID is talking about the components that the RFID has, talking about the antenna, the transceiver, and a transponder rather. And when the scanning antenna and transceiver are combined, they are referred to what the RFID reader or what interrogator. Now, there are two types of the RFID readers. We have the fixed and mobile what reader, and the radio frequency identification device is a network connected device that can be portable or permanently what attached. It uses what radio wave to transmit signals that activate what the tag, and once activated, the tag sends a wave back to the antenna when it is translated what into the word data. Now the transponder is in the RFID word tag itself, so that tag is what they use to track what the device. The next one we'll be looking at is what the automated number word recognition plate recognition. Okay, which is your AN word PR. So we're going to be looking at that automated word number plate recognition system. Now it is used to read automatic number words. It is used to read plates of cars in the number application. That's what it is, to detect a car. If it goes over line, and the signal will send it to the microprocessor to take the image of what the number was plate. It checks for the speed limit. It checks for those who are not keeping to the traffic rules. Okay, now there are numbers of steps in which it goes on. The first one is that there's a camera there that detects the car, and once it detects the car, the sensor will once the sensor detects that vehicle and sends a signal to instruct the camera to capture an image of the front of the vehicle. Of course, infrared cameras are used to give a clear image for use at night. That's what they use. Even right here in Edwood, we also make use of that. For the step 2, what is called that, the step 2 is that the algorithm is used to locate and isolate that number plate. That's what it does. Translate the number plate from image taken by that camera. So it takes your number plate. Now, if it's not clear, there's a brightness and contrast of number plate that is first adjusted to ensure that the characters can be seen clearly. And 3, each character is then recognized using the OCR software, yes, and the characters are converted into a string of edited text by that software. Okay, the text string is then stored on a database. For step 3, if all of this has happened, the car barrier is raised, and the motorist is going to be charged with a ticket, and it will be placed in his car, and he has to pay that ticket. Now, what is the advantages? It monitors average speed of vehicles over stretch of road. There's no need to employ a car park security guard because there are cameras, infrared cameras there. It is a much faster system than having to check a ticket at the exit. It can be used to automatically control the entry and exit to a car park or private road. Although it doesn't go without some disadvantages, because the lack of security cameras can cause a lot of things. Okay, because nobody is checking on a regular basis. CT is often used, but it's just used after the event, so it can cause all sorts of crimes, right? Because nobody is actually watching. Invasion of privacy concerns can be raised due to recording of the driver's number plate. Okay, damage or a very dirty number plate cannot be seen clearly by the system, and although of course there's always the issue of number plate cloning. Okay, so that is the end of into another one, which is the video 10 of it, so we combining the two of them together. Okay, so we have the monitoring and tracking system. Now, what are the reasons for monitoring and tracking system? What are the reasons? One, for surveillance. Okay, we want to monitor, we want to track because of surveillance. And why are we surveilling? Potential criminals, terrorism, and the likes of that, right? For prisoners who are out from the prison and their probations, there's a tracking system, an ankle bracket, right, that is placed. Okay, and what we call an ankle monitor that gives out the person's location and other details, right? Is a tamper-proof, and if it's been tampered with, the authorities are being allowed, or if you try to remove it. Okay. Then we have monitoring customers' buying pattern, what the customer is buying, and the likes of that, just to ensure that when that customer is visiting that page again, there is a preference. Now we have key login. Okay, key login software, which means that when you're trying to access a particular thing and you're not putting the right details, there's limits to what you can be able to input. Over time, there's a time. Most time is time. So you may have just 30 seconds to log in, and after 30 seconds, it locks you. You cannot be able to do that until you provide a form of authentication. Then we have core monitoring. Core monitoring is done in two ways: being monitored by the police, right, as part of surveillance operation, and two, the employers of the ISPs could actually monitor your calls to improve their customer service experience. Okay. Then we have cookies, and cookies, on the other hand, are used to store the browsing preference, okay, in terms of language setting, items in the shopping cart, okay, links that have been clicked on, and the likes of that. So whenever you're visiting the website next time, you can be able to have access to that. Number plate recognition here talks about how your numbers or the place on your number or your car can be tracked by cameras, okay, that are situated in specific locations, okay, and that's to keep track of the whereabouts of anyone in the visual. Okay, we've talked about the phone tracking, we've talked about cookies. In fact, they remember who the user is. That's another bit of cookies. So whenever you accept cookies, whenever you're going to that website, they know who you are. There could be a welcome message next time, welcoming you back to that website, your buying patterns and the likes of that. Okay, then we have the biometrics recognition system. Very, very important. And in the biometric recognition system, we have the face recognition, iris and retina recognition, finger and thumb recognition, hand recognition, and the voice recognition. These are ways of gaining entry into a system. Okay, and of course the biometric is a more modern way of protection. Thank you very much. We're done with it. Okay, so we're looking at satellite system. Now in the satellite system we have the global positioning. Okay, the global position. Now global positioning system. Now under the satellite we have the global positioning system. Now what happens there is this. Now it is used to determine the exact location, okay, of several modes of transport. Cars usually use GPS as satellite navigation system. Satellites surrounding the earth transmit signal to the surface. Customer install in the mode of transport, receive and interpret these signals. Knowing their position on earth depends on very accurate timing. Automatic clocks are used in satellite. Each satellite transmit data indicating its position and time. Positions on board of transport, we calculate the exact position based on that information. Now let's say we have maps.google.com. Hopefully it works here. Yes, it does. So now this is a good example of the but of course we have different layers to it, so I'll take it to the dark mode. Now you see that we have various ways in which we can be able to locate the global positioning system, and all these are either organizations or firms that have imputed their businesses on the map that we can be able to locate. Okay, we have where we can check for imagery. We can switch to check for the imageries of each of those popular places, right, which is done by the map. We can also check for various images on that. Okay, now apart from that, we can also check for traffics to know if now over here in the Lekki Ikoyi bridge there seems to be a kind of heavy traffic going on right now, and that is making the movement to be very slow. Over here movement is very fast, showing the green, right? Here is a bit slow here, and the light that. This is just an overview showing you. Here we have transit. People are actually on transit, and if there are bikes here, if there are terrains, it shows you to like rivers and terrains. These are rivers right here. So in this bridge there are rivers. Okay, and this is also to show you where and where to navigate to. Okay, just to show you where and where to navigate to. Now this is what we call right here towards the bridge. Right from here you can pass in here and here, and which is the Ikoyi Road, and you can get into what we call the Banana Island, and there's also a school here just close toward the bridge. Okay, so that's just that to explain for that. Okay, now GPS can determine a specific location using one satellite navigation system. Cars, ship, planes can use GPS when navigating to one specific location. Workers to locate the positions on the hills or mountains, used by others to calculate what distance. Now we have advantages. The advantage could be drivers don't need to use maps, rather they can use the GPS, right? GPS can reroute and find the quickest route of your movement and can provide useful information of petrol stations. Okay, lots of signals. There can be lots of signals. Maps, if maps have been updated, there are new routes, you will not even know about that. So we need to check out. That could be a disadvantage. Okay. Then the next one is under the satellite navigation, which is used to determine exact location. We have the geographic information system. So we'll look at that. The geographic information system. Now, in the geographic information system, what we do that is that it captures, manage, and analyze the geographic reference information. It can determine distance between two places, right? It can find the nearest petrol station, okay, or restaurants. It can protect animals and plant life in certain variable places. It can be used in geography, science, or engineering lesson. Okay, so one other thing there that we need to know is still on the geography system there could be for example, we have state boundaries, national park. All these are being placed in the map. Example of geography. Use of a geographic information system is emergency services. They use it, biologists and environmentalists, they make use of it. Teachers can use it in their geography, science, or engineering lessons. Okay. Now, what are the advantages? Now, for the advantages, let's look at it quickly. It allows geographic and thematic data of any kind to be combined in a way that shows how they are connected to each other. It allows handling and exploration of huge amount of data. It allows data to be integrated from a wide range of very different sources. The learning curve of GIS software can be very long, Okay, it's expensive to have that software or such system. It requires enormous amount of data. It's difficult to make GIS programs. Okay. Now we have the communication system. Now, for communication system, we refer to a method. Okay, we use a word to a method. Talking about using satellite signals for communication, used by media companies when sending stories, video, pictures for remote what locations. So that's what they are, right? For delivering and receiving data or information using telecommunications. And there are different types of medias to send and receive information. We have, for example, to send and to receive, we have the optical, fiber optics, we have the copper cables, coaxial, we have the Wi-Fi. Okay. Now, satellites contains your antenna, your transponders. Your transponders they allow receiving and sending of what data. Okay, solar panels for power from the sun. Okay, and the likes of that. So the signals are converted to analog, and then they beam up to the satellite for a satellite dish on the earth. Okay, the signals are delivered by carrier waves, which consists of two radio waves. Each signal has its own frequency wave and bandwidth, as the case may be. Talking about the stream of data that flows along with it. Okay, so what are the advantages? Let's just look at the advantages and disadvantages, and we can call this a wrap. Okay, so one is that they have good global coverage. They are cheaper and faster than laying cables. They have a very high battery rate. Okay, that's what they use the satellite with the mass, and they're able to